drives them crazy. All bets are off if a verdict comes in and Trump reacts in a way Americans find unacceptable. Until then, the left's lawfare may actually have done Trump a favor. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Ugh, me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Baseball and softball season will be starting soon at fields everywhere. I'm not talking about those overpriced professional palaces with the prima donnas. I'm talking about the neighborhood where the kids, Little League fields, their family, their fathers, their coaches will all be out in the sun. There's a company in Bridgeview, PYT Sports, that's working with volunteer coaches, Little League managers, and dads. Good, hardworking guys that want to help their kids and friends have a good time this summer instead of getting into trouble on the streets. PYT Sports has all the stuff you'll need to furnish dugouts and more. 2-tiered benches, helmet racks, bat racks, and individual player storage. Plus, windscreens and wall pads. Even field tarps to protect from rain so you're ready for game time. Check out the popular Field General, Commander, and Trooper helmet and bat combos to make your dugout look like the pros. Go to pytsports.net. That's pytsports.net. And get ready for a great baseball season. Play ball!
Do the proposed tax and estate planning changes have you concerned about your future? The time to prepare is right now. Take advantage of a no-obligation conversation with a member of the Wealth Management Group team. It's a complimentary conversation focused solely on you, your goals, and how changes can impact your family's future. Call 833-WMG-PLAN or visit investwithwmg.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, Chicago police took into custody the suspect wanted in the murder of police officer Luis Huesca. He was arrested in Glendale Heights. This coming shortly after, well, within 24 hours after, they had arrested a family member in Morgan Park who had Huesca's gun, and these two master criminals, one in Glendale Heights 10 days after he murdered a cop, allegedly, and the other in Morgan Park with his gun given to him by his relative. That's the murder weapon, and he throws it out a window when cops arrive.
Well, when cops knocked on the door, he's like, wait, please, my girlfriend's naked. So he bought himself some time, and a cop went on the side of the house. They watched him climb out a window, take the gun, and throw it over into a neighbor's yard. But apparently the serial number had been partially scratched off, and they got their guy. But
As I said, master criminals.
Right. I mean, the old
So-
let's sneak out of the side door window, you know?
So it's a reminder that you're not dealing with kids being silly.
No.
You're dealing with stupid kids that are remorseless and men without chests. That's what you're dealing with, and that seems to be the case here again in the tragic murder of Officer Huesca. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line.
And it was neat. One of my officer friends told me that Officer McCann handcuffed Tate in Glendale Heights, and they used Officer Luis's handcuffs to take him into custody. And they normally do that when there is a cop has been killed and they catch their guy. And, I mean, he was apparently hiding out in Iowa somewhere and then was coming back, and they found him and got him in Glendale Heights. So, and he looks like a baby. He looks like a kid. These are kids. It's so sickening that our society has come to that. Chicago has come to this.
A related story, the timing of this is interesting. Statistics compiled by Chicago Police Department show response times over the last 6 years were more than 2 minutes quicker with a shot spotter alert than when the gunshot detection alert was accompanied by a 911 call. Of course, this is relevant to Huesca's murder because it was captured by ShotSpotter. 2 minutes faster with a ShotSpotter alert than when it's a 911 call. So, I mean, just in terms of the larger conversation about the tools that police have when it comes to trying to stop violent crime or, in most cases, catch violent criminals after a crime has been committed, the argument for ShotSpotter persists, and Huesca's murder will, I'm sure, be used in advance of that argument as well over the next several months before the contract extension expires, so that after the convention, so Brandon Johnson can keep his campaign promise, even a campaign promise now deferred for the moment.
Why can't we decide whether or not we want Spot Shotter? I mean, I love Spot Shotter. Why would they take that tool away? Because then they say it's racist because it mostly captures black people committing crime. Well, I don't know. Do more black people than white people commit crimes? White people commit crime. ShotSpotter's gotten white people busted before.
Yes, I think we all understand ShotSpotter is responding to shots spotted, it's not filtering out by race. I think that's pretty clear. Why can't we decide? I mean, what are you talking about?
I know, I sound silly. But I live in a city with a lot of silly kids running around, Dan.
Yeah, well, and a lot of them are called alderman and mayor and deputy mayor and so on and so forth. And so the decisions for the approach to law enforcement are made when you vote. And not just vote in the city. When you vote in statewide elections, too, those decisions are made. And so you live with those decisions. Well, I mean, the repercussions of those decisions come whether you want them to or not, how you want to react to them, if you want to rationalize them, tell yourself beautiful lies, however you want to play it, that's up to you. But, yeah, the repercussions come, and they come swifter than some people are often prepared to endure them. So here we are. Related story, too. I mean, because I don't know what more there is to say about Huesca being gunned down or Ella French being gunned down, Carlos Llanas, her partner, almost being killed, same shooting. Yeah. I mean, what can we say other than tell stories? I've said this many times, too, because I've run out of things to say about this. The sort of screaming into the abyss, I don't know. That's just not me. People, as I said, are free to react however they want. So all you do is tell stories. You tell stories about politicians that we have elevated, a political ruling class that we have elevated, that the very people screaming into the abyss and demanding this stop provide material support to. I can't emphasize that enough because I know people don't want to confront the repercussions of their decisions, but that's part of the conversation about decisions and consequences too. 9-time convicted felon is accused of violently robbing 2 women at gunpoint while on pretrial release for a felony drug charge. 9 times. 31 years old. He'd been waiting trial on 2 counts of possession of heroin with intent to distribute. That's when police say they saw him yelling, "Blows, blows," a common solicitation for heroin sales. In the 800 block of North St. Louis, they found 24 baggies of suspected heroin in his waistband. No, not for personal use. Judge Susanna Ortiz, let's start naming names, released him from custody the next day. I mean, it's only been 9 felonies, and he's only a out and proud heroin dealer. Now, prosecutors say the same dude robbed 2 men within 15 minutes on the afternoon of April 25th. Both holdups recorded by surveillance cams. And he allegedly threatened to kill, and he pistol-whipped a 46-year-old woman in the 3300 block of South Leavitt. Then he took the woman's bag. Minutes later, he robbed a 30-year-old woman behind the 1900 block of West 38th Street. And at some point, they took him into custody. And then the next judge detained this individual at the state's request. Finally, some intercession by the prosecutor's office and the judge to, we should probably hold over this 9-time convicted felon heroin dealer with violent tendencies for trial. Yeah, right. So, I mean, in a city like where these stories get a shoulder shrug because we've reported so many, there have been so many examples of these stories.
Someone's probably being robbed while we're speaking, Dan.
Then what is there left to say? It seems to me there's only some things that are left to do, but who is left to do them? All these difficult questions that we have, the questions we don't want to face, because it's easier to cheerlead when alleged cop killer is arrested, which is an appropriate response, to mourn the loss of a police officer, which is an appropriate response, to decry what the city of Chicago has become, which you were just doing, which is an appropriate response. But, part of those appropriate responses at some point is going to have to be somebody or somebodies saying to the answer of this has to stop and how it's going to stop and somebody needs to do something and we're the somebodies and here's the something. At some point, you're going to want to confront those challenges. We're just not at that point. We're just not at that point. Why don't we just be honest with ourselves? We're not there yet. What will it take to get us there? I don't know. Who is, just off stage waiting to come on and be the somebody or somebodies with the plan to do something specific? I don't know. Neither does anybody else. Not that I've heard. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
This Mother's Day, treat the mom in your life to a day she'll never forget with brunch at the Trump International Hotel and Tower in beautiful downtown Chicago. Brunch reservations are available now for Sunday, May 12th, with seatings from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom. Experience an exquisite meal in a buffet style. Feast at the decadent carving, omelet, and dessert stations. Enjoy drink specials, live entertainment, complimentary champagne, and a beautiful rose garden backdrop for memorable photos. There's no better place to celebrate this Mother's Day than as guests of Trump Chicago. where you'll find the most iconic views of the Chicago skyline. Delight in this one-of-a-kind extravaganza. Make your reservations today by visiting Eventbrite.com and search Mother's Day Brunch, Trump Chicago. That's Eventbrite, search Mother's Day Brunch, Trump Chicago, and order your tickets today. Cheers!
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Dan, real quickly, did you hear that a high-ranking Chicago police officer lied to Weska's mother, telling her in Spanish that she had to let Mayor Johnson come to the funeral?
Yeah, it was Snelling. It was Snelling communicating it. That's the report. It was the police superintendent, Larry Snelling, who said it's mandatory that Johnson come to the funeral, and then at some point that was corrected, and obviously he was still disinvited. He still didn't show up. I don't know if Superintendent Snelling was confused about this alleged mandate, or he was just trying to insinuate Johnson into the funeral. I don't know, but yeah, it's a bad look.
Yeah, according to the FOP, at one point there was an implication that the honors funeral was tied to Mayor Johnson being present. Pritzker immediately said, fine, we're not going to go, and then Johnson held out until an hour before the funeral. But
well, again, the real story here, that watershed moment,
yep,
is a mayor and a governor being disinvited from a fallen cop's funeral. That's a new place in Chicago. I don't think it's getting enough appreciation, and I think we should explore the implications of that. If the Weska family can draw a line, maybe other people can be challenged to draw some lines.
It's a start. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, that anti-Semitism bill that passed the House, not the way to combat anti-Semitism. Republicans and Democrats who voted for that should be ashamed of themselves. 5:38.
And later, frat boys to the rescue once again. We'll explain, but now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
57 degrees at 5:32. Pro-Palestinian protesters refusing to leave their encampment at UCLA. Fox's Bill Malugin is there with the very latest. We'll get back to Bill in just a moment. Pro-Israeli supporters clashing with the pro-Hamas encampment for hours Tuesday night. UCLA Chancellor Gene Block calling the violence utterly unacceptable. Millions of voters in England and Wales are casting their ballots in an array of local elections. The voting today will be the last big test before a UK general election. All indicators show a Conservative party that may be ousted from power after 14 years. A lawsuit against South Carolina's 6-week abortion ban will be in court today. Meantime, Arizona is saying goodbye to a Civil War-era ban of nearly all abortions as a repeal bill reaches the desk of Democrat Governor Katie Hobbs. A section of highway collapsed after a heavy rain in a mountainous area of southern China, sending cars tumbling down a slope, leaving at least 36 dead. Former President Trump talking inflation in Wisconsin, hitting the campaign trail yesterday after a warning of jail time if he violates a gag order. Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates unchanged. Central Bank says they need more confidence that inflation is coming down before cutting rates. The man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Weska last month is in custody after he was arrested in Glendale Heights. Xavier Tate Jr. was taken into custody last night by CPD officers and members of the Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force. Several Jewish organizations are calling for Northwestern University President Michael Schill to resign over the handling of a pro-Palestinian encampment on campus. In addition, several Jewish students have filed suit against NU over the encampment, claiming they have been harassed and subjected to hateful rhetoric. Cubs beat the Mets 1-0. White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. Celtics and Mavericks with NBA playoff wins. The news, a service of ReviveYourLawn.com. Don't DIY, RYL, Revive Your Lawn with the landscape and design experts. Outdoor patios, kitchens, lighting, and more. Get an instant online estimate today at ReviveYourLawn.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum can see the trick.
Joe Biden wrote on X complaining about the disparity in earnings between male and female, and he's being disingenuous. These people on the left, these Democrats, are pushing an agenda that's not rooted in facts and reality. They're trying to do their best with abortion, wage gap, and all this other stuff to turn out female voters to vote for them.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1907 $10 gold Liberty coins has been found. These gorgeous 1907p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 100 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1907 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1907 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 117 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-495-6468. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $50 value free with every order. Call 1-800-495-6468 now to secure your 1907p $10 gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-495-6468.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor tradition, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
5:37. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy, already 25 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Bishop Ford exit ramp shut down due to ongoing road work until 6 a.m. It's the outbound off-ramp to eastbound 111. Tri-State, accident, 3 left lanes blocked. Accident scene involves a semi southbound between I-80 and the Lincoln Oasis. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly cloudy. We could have a thunderstorm or two by afternoon, high 82. Clouds, couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm, low 61 overnight. Partly cloudy and 57 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Thinking about these model Hamas mob actions on college campuses across the country. Just recall the conversation that we had, a few weeks back about what will happen if and when Trump wins in November, wins the presidency again. Think about what college campuses are going to look like and how that will spill over into the streets, because as we should have all learned a long time ago, what starts on a college campus doesn't stay there.
Yep, as you say, we're all on a college campus now. And they're finally, as we speak, are taking down the encampment at UCLA.
UCLA is a real mess. I saw them. You've had these the students, when the cops show up there, they form their human chains and they call them slave catchers and so on and so forth, race traders if they're a black or a Latino officer. That's the usual stuff from, the best and brightest, America's future leaders. But the response to the illiberalism on campus is not illiberalism. Shouldn't be, at least. It was yesterday in the House by Congress, because that's what politicians do. They overreact, and they're the proverbial hammer that sees everything as a nail. So something bad is happening. Let's just come over the top and stop it, regardless of how exactly we stop it. We sort of forget that there are guardrails in a free society, or at least they're supposed to be. So this anti-Semitism bill that passed the House, overwhelmingly bipartisan fashion, 320 to 91? Okay. I think so. 320 to 91. 70 Democrats, only 21 Republicans voted against it. This would require the Education Department to enforce federal anti-discrimination laws by using the definition of anti-Semitism defined by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And that doesn't sound so controversial until you actually look at what can and can't be said, such that there will be sanctions imposed, ostensibly, if anything along the lines of what can't be said is said. You're turning people like Rashida Tlaib into legitimate grievance holders when you make such an overreach. And it is an overreach here. And I understand I'm in the uncomfortable position of agreeing with a majority of Democrats like Jerry Nadler, who voted against this legislation. But the point is, you can come from different places and arrive at the same conclusion temporarily. It doesn't mean that we both want the same thing. We don't. A lot of Democrats voted against it to appease the identitarian mobs on campus. And I don't mean just the students, by the way, too, as we've seen from the Star Wars bar faculty offerings at Fordham and elsewhere. University of Wisconsin-Madison, I saw some whatever goofy professor arrested too there, of course. So, they're reliving the excitement of their youth. The legislation, though, getting back to this.
Yes, what is it?
Because this is what Congress said. This is against anti-Semitism. Who doesn't want to vote for that? Well, I don't want to vote for it. Don't sell me with the top line. Don't sell me with the Orwellian entitled legislation. Let's look at the substance of it, what it actually would do when we're talking about lawmaking, right? There's always euphemistic language that's attached to legislation in terms of the names of it for the purpose of, if you vote against it, my opponent voted against legislation to punish anti-Semitism on campus. No, I'm happy to punish anti-Semitism on campus when it crosses the line between speech and behavior, action, and is prescribable by the government. Or it's violative of campus code at a private university and you signed on to that conduct statement as a condition of your attending that university. That's a different thing. Anti-Semitism, the International Holocaust Remembrance Standard. Contemporary examples of anti-Semitism in public life, the media, schools, the workplace, and the religious sphere could, taking into account the overall context, big phrase there, include but are not limited to calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a radical ideology, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews or the power of Jews as collective, especially but not exclusively the myth about the world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions, denying Jewish people their right to self-determination, accusing the Jews as a people or a state of Israel as inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. We have a professor at Northwestern, an engineering professor named Arthur Butts, who's a Holocaust denier. He's written a book about it. So Northwestern should be punished by the Education Department for anti-Semitic discrimination because Arthur Butts is on his faculty. It's a question. Others, applying a double standard by requiring a behavior of requiring of Jewish people behavior not expected or demanded by others. Yeah. So there's a lot of problems with that legislation. I don't think people in America, including on college campuses, including the model Hamas nitwits, should be stripped of their free speech rights, right? As has been said countless times, and apparently it has to be said countless more. I don't think this is a complicated concept, but it appears to be beyond the grasp of so many. The First Amendment restraint on government from prescribing speech, thought, speech that ostensibly flows from thought is for unpopular speech. Popular speech doesn't need a vanguard. The acceptable opinion doesn't need a vanguard. And even ignorant speech, even vile speech, that's the point, because otherwise you get into the business of redefining what is ignorant and vile and discriminatory in this case. You can hold and say all kinds of stupid things, but until you're making a specific threat against a specific individual, you really want the government and through its appendages like the education department in the business of drawing these lines? I don't think so.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, which is up and running, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Joe in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, 2 quick points. Whatever happened to the saying, I may disagree with you, but I'll fight to the death your right to say it. And I'm sick and tired of these politicians naming bills for something that has nothing to do with what they're going to do, like the Safety Act. If that's the case, every Republican bill should be labeled, "Stop killing the puppies." Anybody who's against it is for killing puppies.
Yeah, exactly. That's mine as well. I mean, that's exactly the point. So you don't have to be in the business of countenancing the illiberalism, the conduct that you see on college campuses. But as I said at the outset, I mean, our Republicans are just so cowardly. You can't just stand up and say on poorly crafted legislation like this that is way too open-ended. We don't fight illiberalism with illiberalism. We fight the forces of censure and subjugation, the left, by defending the things that distinguish us from them, a restraint on government and the ability of a free people to think and speak freely within the limitations of infringing upon others' rights to do the same. It's sort of a sad commentary that we have to have such a basic conversation in America today, seems to me.
Why can't we start with these college campuses, start with arresting people who are damaging property and trespassing? I mean, they won't even do it. And the kids at Fordham yesterday, real quick, I just wanted to hear this. They know it's New York. Nothing's going to happen to them.
What will you guys do when the police come right in here and, end up maybe handcuffing people and arresting them?
We'll do what we always done. We'll get arrested, just like the criminals in the subway. They're always right back out in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on.
Well, that was Trump's message in Waukesha yesterday.
To every college president, I say remove the encampments immediately, vanquish the radicals, and take back our campuses for all of the normal students who want a safe place from which to learn.
Yeah, well, that's sort of a modern fiction, too, that they want a safe place in which to learn. Yeah, maybe some of the students, maybe even a majority of the students. But those campuses are not that. No. They're very much like Voltaire said of the Holy Roman Empire. It's, they're holy nor Roman. College campuses are neither safe nor places to learn. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thank you for taking my call. Over and over, these leftists and Marxists, boy, they play the Republicans like a fiddle. They use all these different situations that they select to make these to give themselves more power and take away more of our freedom. Just like they did with the FISA stuff following 9/11, just like they do with when there's a something incident with a gun or anything like that, they got to take away the rights of law-abiding citizens. Over and over, the Marxists and leftists, they use it and they do it. And this is no different. This is it right here. They're doing it again. They're going to basically take more and more freedom from us and gain more and more power. I don't know why they don't smarten up on it.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Well, I mean, if this legislation is good enough for a college campus, then shouldn't it be good enough for Congress? So for all those Democrats that voted for it, are you going to apply it to Rashida Tlaib? What kind of disciplinary action should she face, your colleague and others? This rap that she went on, speaking to an empty chamber, but going on the record about what's happening on college campuses, compare and contrast what she has to say from what Trump did. This wouldn't fall into the definition of anti-Semitism per the legislation that just passed the House?
Sending in militarized police forces and even snipers to stop these students for exercising their First Amendment right is truly disgusting. My colleagues are so outraged by students opposing genocide and apartheid. These state-sanctioned violence, including the arrest and threatened felony prosecutions of students, can only be seen as an explicit effort to silence students and take away their First Amendment rights. No student, Mr. Speaker, not one, should be met with academic repercussions or policy brutality on their own campuses for exercising peacefully their right to free speech and assembly. Our government isn't just complicit to this genocide, we're actively participating. Students are occupying their campuses to peacefully protest for an end to these atrocities and divestment in this genocide and apartheid. They are even renaming some of the buildings after Palestinian children that have been killed. These students should be praised for standing up for what they believe in, not vilified, smeared with misinformation campaigns and silence. I call on these universities to end the repressive tactics, to exercise restraint, to denounce the ongoing police brutality, and stop suppressing the very activism, academic freedom, and thoughtful debate that they seek to inspire in their students.
Is she crying?
Genocide. Israel's committing genocide. The United States is complicit in genocide. We're participating in genocide. You caught that. I mean, obviously, her phony characterizations of the students and the police notwithstanding.
I mean, they're commandeering public spaces and they're chanting death to Israel. And not letting Jewish students go in their public places that actually have an ID that should be there in certain buildings.
Again, you're allowed to chant death to Israel.
Yeah, you are.
You should be. That may be born of anti-Semitism, sure. Just like death to America is born of anti-Americanism. But in a free society, you're allowed to say those things. That is not conduct. You're allowed to say hateful, vile things. We better sort of reconcile ourselves to an understanding of free speech. Like, quickly. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, the government should stick to what it's good at. They should be spending billions to get to the root causes of anti-Semitism.
Right. Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah, no, we need another task force.
Committee, yeah.
Instead, what you should do is use the law legitimately. Let me give you an example of that. So the negotiated surrender by the Northwestern administration to the model Hamas up there in Evanston.
Yeah, they and Brown University have reached an agreement with the protesters.
So one of the things they're doing is setting up scholarship funds for Palestinian students. Mm-hmm. Well, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has now filed a federal Title VI complaint against Northwestern University on behalf of Young America's Foundation, which has a chapter on the campus. The university's plan to offer $1.9 million in scholarship funds, faculty positions, and student organizational space to Palestinian students and staff is a violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, discrimination for or against. In this case, it would be for. And these are the sorts of complaints that our friend Mark Perry, econ professor emeritus at University of Michigan, has been filing for the last many years. They number in the hundreds, and he has been able to get through the use of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and Title VI and Title IX complaints, all sorts of discriminatory policies eliminated from all sorts of otherwise discriminatory institutions called colleges and universities. This is the way to do it. The way to do it is not to pass symbolic and yet chilling federal cookie cutter legislation like Republicans and Democrats in the House did yesterday. Will and Skokie.
Hey, how you doing? Found it interesting. You were talking about how they chanted various things, death to Israel and so on and so forth. There's a thing on X where they had the University of Alabama. They had pro-Palestinian and pro-Jewish protesters sitting there yelling at each other and chanting, but they both started chanting F. Joe Biden.
Yeah. They came to agreement. It's a unifying viewpoint. Yes, that's what bridges the divide. Is that F. Joe Biden or Let's Go Brandon moment? Yeah, both the model Hamas and then the pro-Israeli students started chanting back and forth across the quad because they were on separate sides. That was pretty entertaining. Mike's outside.
Hey, good morning, you guys. I just want to know, with all this fake. Well, let me rephrase. All of this, appalled feelings being hurt by these professors over their students not being able to exercise their First Amendment rights. Where were these same professors when people like a Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro or whatever conservative tried to speak on these campuses and had their First Amendment rights stomped on by these same students who are now asking for that consideration? I just don't get that. I get it.
It's only the voices they want to hear.
Yeah, it's simple right there. That's why my point about Jerry Nadler and other Democrats who voted for this. It's not because they believe in free speech, or I'm sorry, who voted against the anti-Semitism legislation. It's not because, like me or others like Tom Massey who voted against this, they believe in free speech. Is they're unbounded by their hypocrisy to silence those who oppose them and turn a blind eye to those who don't, whatever illiberal conduct may come. Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's a right and proper comparison. We may be able to forge a deal with Iran after all, because the Iranians may have given us a way out of all of these illiberal youngsters you have watched on college campuses behave so poorly over the last several weeks. Iran University is offering scholarships to any students who have faced arrest or expulsion following their actions.
Oh, really?
So I'll tell you what, the Iranian transfer portal is open. And I would encourage, you to encourage your alma mater to put all of these students right in the portal. That's a much quicker way to solve the problem. But the problem
that's interesting.
But unfortunately, you don't have the adults that are willing to go along with that program.
And also, there's another fraternity to the rescue. ASU, the frat brothers there, they went and helped police clean up the garbage that was left behind in the encampment. At University of North Carolina, the Phi Caps there.
Yeah.
They took the Palestinian flag down, protected the American flag. Now they're going to throw them a rager. There's a GoFundMe because they want them to have a big blowout party on campus.
Yeah, it's already raised $320,000.
I know. Well, that's quite a party, Dan.
Yeah, I know this is getting a lot of play. Not exactly Iwo Jima.
No.
But I guess baby steps when it comes to college campuses.
The only thing we can laugh about right now. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, that initial meeting between the Chicago Bears and Jelly Belly's staff, he was unavailable because I think he was on an Ozempic drip. Anyway, 6:06, the Bears and Pritzker.
But now let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike.
Jewish groups demand the Northwestern University president resign. City Council considers lowering the speed limit. WIND, Chicago News Time, 6.
This is a Fox News alert. Police are moving in at UCLA. I'm Dave Anthony. There are bags right now on the California campus and a lot of smoke in the air.
Smells like tear gas to me.
Fox's William Lajeunesse is there watching what's going on with police.
The police pulling out some of that plywood and throwing it to the side.
As officers tear down the encampment and bring protesters out one by one, putting them in zip ties.
And then periodically they're going to line them, take 5, 6 out at a time to waiting buses by the sheriff's department. And they're going to be arrested and they're actually going to be processed and booked. But I've seen some of the students trying to hide their faces from me, maybe hide them from their parents who might be watching.
That encampment at UCLA has been there a week, one of many on college campuses nationwide that have also led to hundreds of arrests. Former President Trump's called on college presidents to end the encampments as he campaigned on an off day at his criminal trial in Michigan and Wisconsin. Also addressing the abortion issue, saying the Supreme Court, with 3 justices he appointed, got it right.
We brought it back into the states where it has to be, and over a period of time that works out.
Vice President Harris says it's working out badly in some states, like Florida, where an abortion ban at 6 weeks of pregnancy took effect yesterday when she went to Jacksonville.
4 million women in this state woke up with fewer reproductive freedoms than they had last night.
In Arizona, state lawmakers voted to repeal a Civil War-era law that bans almost all abortions in that state. Back to former President Trump. He will return to court this morning in New York for more testimony at his criminal trial in a hearing into more alleged gag order violations. He's already been fined $9,000 for other violations. The judge threatened to jail the former president, who says the order unconstitutionally silences him about the case. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership overnight and into this morning. Chicago police say the suspects forced their way into a dealership on South Michigan Avenue, driving away with approximately 4 to 7 vehicles. Police in Vernon Hills are investigating an apparent murder-suicide from Wednesday. Officers responding to a single-family home in the 400 block of Cherry Valley Road and say a 67-year-old woman and 77-year-old man were found dead inside from apparent gunshot wounds. The man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is in custody. Arrested in Glendale Heights, Xavier Tate Jr. was taken into custody last night. Reports say Tate was arrested with the handcuffs that belonged to Huesca, who was shot and killed April 21st. Several Jewish organizations are calling for Northwestern University President Michael Schill to resign over the handling of a pro-Palestinian encampment on campus. Meantime, 7 members of that president's advisory committee on preventing anti-Semitism and hate at Northwestern University are stepping down amid anti-Jewish protest at college campuses there, of course, and across the country. Governor Pritzker standing firm against the Bears' plan to build a new stadium along the lakefront. After meeting with team executives yesterday to discuss the more than $6 billion proposal, top Pritzker aides called the plan a non-starter. At an unrelated event, Pritzker said he's open to the idea, just not the money.
Well, I didn't say that there's not ever the possibility of having a domed stadium in Chicago. I've never said that. I have said, however, that it's not a high priority.
And the city of Chicago is considering lowering the city's default speed limit from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour. During a committee hearing yesterday, traffic consultants and Department of Transportation staff testified that they believe lowering speed limits may save lives. Cubs beat the Mets 1-0, while the White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. Stanley Cup playoffs, Edmonton sends the Kings home for the season, and Dallas with a big win over Vegas. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now. danandamy247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher doesn't think now is the time.
I have to plead guilty to avoiding the drama around Speaker Johnson. And let me tell you why. Trying to replace him before the election would be a disaster. It would be political suicide for the Republican Party. Well, it got a lot of momentum. The last thing we need to do is have another fiasco of replacing Mike Johnson before the election.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset. And even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible, real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text PROTECT to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
Admit it, this is the worst time of year to be suffering with joint pain. You can't enjoy outdoors like you used to. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if you're tired of achy joints, contact my friends at QC Kinetics before you agree to surgery, steroids, or medications. That's what tens of thousands of real-life patients around the country did, like Robert. Robert's a retired Marine and business owner. Robert had debilitating shoulder pain and couldn't take time away from work to have surgery. So he heard about QC Kinetics and how elite athletes were using these treatments for joint pain. Now Robert feels much better thanks to his treatments at QC Kinetics. And you know what? I'd love to talk about your success story next. So don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today. The consultation's free with Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
6:08. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. Kennedy Building 34 into the Circle interchange, while the Eisenhower is at 39, 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan in 16, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Bishop Ford jamming into the Ryan merge. The Tri-State still snarled southbound on 294 between I-80 and the Lincoln Oasis due to an accident, blocking 3 left-hand lanes. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
Today, mostly cloudy, warm, thunderstorm around this afternoon. That could bring some damaging wind. The high today, 82. Partly to mostly cloudy, warm, shower and thunderstorm tonight, low 61. Showers tomorrow morning, then partly sunny by the afternoon, the high 71. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
57 at O'Hare, 58 and mostly cloudy at Midway. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Just a postscript on the conversation we were having about this anti-Semitism legislation that was moved out of the House yesterday that I was critical of. Email on the topic. Yes, I don't believe in using the government hammer. I don't believe we should be giving any money or the government being in the loan business. In your private life, speak all you want, but as a taxpayer, why should I have to pay for some professor with tenure to promote their leftist ideas in the classroom that I have to pay for some of the expense? I agree. And that's where Republicans, I'm suggesting, should be focusing their energy. Fox had a piece last night about in aggregate, the estimated amount that some of these schools in question, particularly in the Ivy League, get from the federal government in various forms, research grants and so forth. And I mean, Columbia, it's north of $1 billion. These other colleges, it's $700, $800, $900 million. Why should they be getting that money when they're sitting on $30, $40, $50 billion endowments? Or even if they weren't, why should they be getting the money? They shouldn't. Completely agree. It's the federal government's business to be the loaner of first resort for kids that want to go to college? No, it isn't. And when they're out of that business, then you can't have somebody come along like Mr. 10% and just wave a wand and say, we're going to take all of their debt and impose it on everybody else. Exactly. Get them out of the business, but do it directly as opposed to this passive-aggressive way to threaten their money. That's what this, setting up the education department to prosecute them under civil rights legislation, anti-discrimination legislation. Well, so what are you doing? Oh, this is the process by which we adjudicate claims of anti-Semitism, and then if they're found guilty of allowing this to occur on campus, then their funding could be jeopardized. It's too long, it's too cumbersome, and it doesn't get to the point. The other thing it does, since I'm old enough to have lived through the initial stages of this, or not the initial, but maybe the secondary stages or tertiary stages of this. Well, what are you going to do with all of these censorious types that are in charge of the universities? What does this encourage them to do? Speech codes. That was a favorite when Donna Shalala was at the University of Wisconsin. She was one of the worst offenders. There were many others. Speech codes that started popping up on campuses in the late 80s and 90s at the sort of the inception of what was then called political correctness. Sure, the way that we prevent ourselves from being in endless litigation and jeopardizing our flow from the federal government is we'll just impose speech codes. You cannot say these words. You cannot have these thoughts. That's what we want them to do? No. The cure for speech you don't like is more speech, as Louis Brandeis observed. I'm paraphrasing. I mean, think about this another way. Would you have believed the situation at college campuses with these student bodies is as bad as it is if you hadn't seen what has transpired over the last couple of weeks? If you hadn't seen for your very own eyes? You think maybe a lot of our listeners would because they're paying attention, but do you think this was eye-opening and ear-opening for wide swaths of America that had no idea how far down the road of being incubators of totalitarianism these colleges are? This was helpful. I know it wasn't fun for police and it wasn't fun for legitimate students at these colleges, but this was helpful in terms of scales and earmuffs falling from eyes and ears around the country. This is reality. This is who we are platforming on college campuses. More than that, this is who's in control. And they'll be running a library, a school library or a school district or a tech company or, an art house or your city government nearby soon. So you may want to perk up. Think through the whole analysis here before you just sign on to some feel-good euphemistic legislation that you can say I've got my credential now that I'm officially opposed to this anti-Semitism on campus. Good for you. That is the baseline. That is not an accomplishment. That's where decent people start, and now we have to confront exactly what we understand are the challenges and at whose hands they're being presented. All right. Just saying. I mean, good. The analysis, and this, by the way, this goes up for conservative talk too, because I've listened to some of it recently, and I don't normally for this reason. It's just so exasperating. Fox News report stuff. I mean, it's just all so surfacey, and it's all just our side, their side silliness. Think about this holistically. Think about this in the context of a free society, not who's a bigger douchebag. Or wasn't that cool over here and isn't that unbelievably outrageous over there? Okay, now put it all together into some sort of coherent understanding and maybe plan of action. All right. Anyway, I had to get that off my chest. Bears. The Bears. As we know, Mayor BLM Brandon Johnson is a big fan of Bears stars present and past, people like Coach Dicta and
Mike Dicta.
Yeah, Coach Dicta. Yeah, he was a tight end. The greats.
Yeah.
And so he's on board for writing a blank check to the Bears. Because you got to keep him in Chicago at any expense. That'd be a big feather in his cap, so that's what he's on board for. Jelly Belly is going to play a little cooler.
Yeah, he's going to play. He's playing a little hard to get, if you know what I mean.
He's gonna put him through the ringers because he's a real steward of the taxpayer dollars. So you're not just gonna roll him over. I mean, that's a big job, rolling him over. Well,
hey,
I mean,
all
it takes
300 pounds of it. No, do you think he's 400 pounds?
It takes a village to clean the underside of that thing. Anyway, so he didn't have time yesterday to meet with the Bears. So he sent, his flunkies, like this former state senator from Decatur, who's some sort of deputy governor, and some, a pro-abortion ghoul that he made his chief of staff. So they went to talk to David Warren and company of the Bears. And here's your buddy John Garcia reporting on how that went.
When the Bears presented their plans for a sparkling new $4.6 billion stadium on the lakefront last week, they said it was contingent on lawmakers in Springfield approving a plan to help pay for it. And that could be a real challenge, as representatives from the Bears are likely learning today after meeting by Zoom with top aides to Governor J.B. Pritzker. The governor himself is not in the meeting with the Bears. He has said flat out that a Bears stadium is not his top priority.
This is going to take a little bit of time, and it's unclear whether there's something that will be put on the table that the General Assembly can pass and that I could sign.
The Bears specifically want the Illinois Sports Facilities Authority to commit more than $1 billion in new debt from the 2% hotel tax to be repaid over 40 years. Several state leaders, however, have said taxpayers are not in support of public dollars going to pay for sports stadiums. Mayor Brandon Johnson spoke in support of the stadium, saying it would benefit taxpayers without adding new taxes. But the city does not have the money to help the Bears build a stadium. Most of that would need to come from skeptical lawmakers in Springfield.
We, as the stewards of the people's money, have to make sure that we're looking at all options and that they're looking at all options, and we are making sure that we're being intentional in this space.
Being intentional in the space, Cam Buckner. State representative, failed mayoral candidate. Intentional in the space. Okay. I know John Garcia is your friend.
Yes.
Like Marianne Ahern and all these other people.
Marianne Ahern, I have a crush on her. Yes.
Can anybody do any honest reporting in this city ever? I like John too. I have no issue with Marianne, but I mean, the idea of taking the company line on this, of watching this play out, pretending like you haven't been here before, despite the fact that they've been filing these same reports for 30 years. And skeptical legislators, they're going to have a tough sell with Pritzker. You just heard him say, for God's sakes, it's going to take some time. To see if the legislature can put something together that they find acceptable, and that I can sign something that I find acceptable.
And he's not opposed to a Bears stadium.
Well, I didn't say that there's not ever the possibility of having a domed stadium in Chicago. I've never said that. I have said, however, that it's not a high priority.
Okay, so finish my thought then. Finish my thought.
What, that no one could ever be genuine with reporting and ask and just get to the issue? Call them out? Like they're just playing a cat and mouse game. What right now? He's going to act like the bad guy, like, well, I don't know. If mom says no, ask dad. And that's what they're doing right now. They're asking dad for the stadium. But nobody gets to that. Like, no one asks that real question.
Pritzker isn't saying taxpayer dollars shouldn't be used to fund sports stadiums. He's not making a declarative statement of principle because he has no principles. Has anybody noticed? No. They haven't noticed. Not in the Chicago Press Corps. So, as I said yesterday, and I'll have to repeat for John Garcia's benefit, did it ever cross your mind that this is political theater and you're the court jester? Repeating the king's posturing as if it's not posturing. He's a steward of the taxpayer, just like Cam Buckner. These are all stewards of the taxpayers. The worst governed state in American history and the worst governed city in America, particularly by financial metrics, but by every metric, just about. And you're listening to the stewards of the taxpayer line with respect to a billion or a couple billion. Who the hell cares for the Bears? This is the day after they announced fat drug coverage for fat state workers that could cost upwards of $750 million. Yeah, you think there's like some bottom line sensitivity here? You think they're really poring over the numbers? They all got their green eye shades out and they're paging through. They got teams of CPAs. Can we make this work? Are you kidding? Who thinks that anything works that way in this city or state? John Garcia does. The Chicago Press Corps does. Why? Because the government they serve says so. And I understand the Republican Party is, as per usual, Illinois GOP is synonymous with AWOL. They have nothing important to say on anything important. I get it. So that's why we have this show, because we have to fill that void as best we can. This is... They work it out, throw some numbers around a sheet of paper and see how they figure out to see if we can make it work that makes it make sense for the taxpayers. Right. That's what they're worried about. Oh, he's a skeptic. The profligate Illinois General Assembly is full of skeptics when it comes to... Are you kidding? They're not skeptical about spending other people's money on anything that they desire. And they desire this, obviously. You think that a city legislator like Cam Buckner wants the Bears to move to Arlington Heights any more than BLM Brandon does? Any more than Triple Threat did? Any more than Tiny Dancer did? Any more than Jelly Belly's backers will at the end of the day? But, I mean, it's a political calculation. It's not an actual financial calculation. Who believes that? The Chicago Press Corps. And by extension, I don't know, I guess half or more than half of this lobotomized electorate in Chicagoland. Everything is in good faith. That's the alternative. If you want to believe that, then you believe everything is done in good faith and it's above the board when it comes to big deals in Chicago and Springfield. Is that your position? I mean, it's just so fracking ridiculous. Is there anything that gets people to snap up and tell, in the immortal words of that steam fitter in New York, tell Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and the Chicago Press Corps and all of these other sycophants and toadies and associated grifters, F you. That's my message. F you. No. They're all honest brokers. It's wonderful. It's going very well. Tom in Oswego.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I think the bottom line is, besides the Bears need to put a winning team on a field first, is the money. Dan, I've run a business for 34 years in the state of Illinois. If I wasn't able to pay my mortgage, do you think a bank's going to lend me money to put an addition on my house? No. This is ridiculous. We are broke. The country's broke. We don't have the money for these type of things. I don't understand why it's just not black and white like that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call. Because the sports facilities has bonding authority to impose more debt on taxpayers. What do you mean it's not black and white? Because they don't operate under the same rules that you do. That's why. Because they can impose more burdens on you, and it's a calculation as to whether or not there'll be a significant amount of people kick up a significant amount of dust. And in the absence of that, let's get the golden shovels and the novelty scissors out, and let's get this thing going.
They want to start now. They don't want to wait till the fall session. They want it approved now.
Yeah, I know
Every
that's
day
their. I know
they
that's
waste.
their
Money's
official.
wasted.
I know that's their official position, and that's bull jive too.
Yeah, I know. They still have to get through Friends of the Park. There's a lot that's got to go, and they're still the largest landowners in Arlington Heights. I don't know if they're going to turn that area into what they did to the Glen. I don't know why they'd want to rent when they can own. It makes no sense at all.
Putting a winning team on the field, Tom and Oswego. First, they should put a winning team on the field.
He sounds like Mayor Lightfoot. First, you should worry about beating the Packers.
Let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have the worst, right now, tracking to be the worst team in baseball history. That's going to get $1 billion for a new stadium, too. Winning teams and financial sense, and I could never do what they do. Yeah, I know, and you know, and they know, and they don't care that you and I know. You know? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
All right. It's coming, our annual golf outing. And once again, we are partnered up with Tunnels to Tower Foundation. This great organization helps provide for our first responders, military heroes, including our homeless vets. So we're excited to help raise money for them. And it's coming up on Wednesday, June 19th at the McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. We have foursomes. We have twosomes available. When you join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, including meals. Excuse me, we'll have prizes for the winning foursome, longest drive, and closest to the pin, as well as a silent auction. Now, if you own a business or run the marketing for a company, when you purchase that foursome, we'll introduce you to AM 560. We'll give you 25 one-minute commercials that will air right here on AM 560, Monday through Friday. And we'll be golfing in the afternoon. Dan and I will be. Team Dan is taken, but Team Amy is still available. If you want to golf with me, that'd be great. Then I don't have to sell myself every day, which I'm doing a horrible job of doing, but it'll be fun. And I will get you some points off your
Who am I
team.
playing with?
I don't know. I thought you were playing with the DeWitt,
We've
DeWitt
already
guys.
established
Yes,
that
no.
it's not the Dwight Mafia. It's somebody else. So let's get.
You know what? I'll find out.
I see if I know anybody at the station that can tell me who I'm playing with.
Maybe
All
it's
right.
a friend. Maybe it's a foe. We will know at some point in time.
Well, I want to know, how well I have to play to win.
Right. That's right. But again, Team Amy's still available. So here's
Yeah.
what you do. Go to 560
The
The Answer.
market has spoken.
560theanswer.com/golf. It is sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, Croscom Public Adjusters, and Signature Bank.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father, but while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll do a check-in with recently defrocked Downers Grove Library Board trustee Bill Nienberg. He said that the battle after Downers Grove Village Board voted 4-3 to remove him from the library board to which he was appointed, that the battle would wage on, and apparently it is. So anybody who's putting in the fight, we want to keep track of. We'll talk to Bill Nienberg at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:32 on AM 560. The Answer. Police removing barricades and dismantling a pro-Palestinian demonstrators' encampment on the campus of UCLA. Arrests are being made right now as police attempt to clear a week-old encampment. Fox's William LaJeunesse is there.
We are in the main corridor, the mall, if you will. CHP first line going in if indeed the order is given, and then you have another line of LAPD. Now, watching their back, very important in this mall, is another line of LAPD, and they're moving right now. Okay, so when we arrived here, there was about 1,000 people outside. They've dispersed a little bit. Now, there was just on the Bullhorn, some of the sympathizers to the encampment, if you will, said, we need people over here. So the police are definitely moving, probably trying to find a soft spot in terms of trying to access point into the encampment itself.
Donald Trump back in court today for his hush money trial in New York. Police shot and killed an armed student outside a Wisconsin middle school Wednesday. Authorities say the student was male and attended a Mount Horeb area school west of Madison. Steve Salerno is superintendent of the Mount Horeb School District.
Had it not been for our community stepping up to the plate to help support capital and operational referendums that allowed us to install safety measures, including vestibules, locked front doors and the like, this could have been a far worse tragedy.
The identity of the suspect is unknown. No other students were hurt. Officers fired shots at the suspect and killed him before he entered the school. The Wisconsin Department of Justice has opened an investigation. Firings at Tesla. In fact, its entire electric vehicle charging team is out of work this morning. Employees confirmed the layoffs overnight in social media posting. The news raising concerns about the future of one of the largest charging networks in the U.S. Burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership on the south side overnight. Approximately 4 to 7 vehicles were swiped. Police in north suburban Vernon Hills investigating an apparent murder-suicide Wednesday morning. Police say a 67-year-old woman and a 77-year-old man were found dead inside the home, both from apparent gunshot wounds. And the man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is in custody after he was arrested in Glendale Heights. Xavier Tate Jr. was taken into custody by members of the Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force. Cubs over the Mets 1-0, while the White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. And the Byron Nelson set to get underway as the PGA Tour visits Dallas. The news a service of Rasmussen University. They offer 50-plus programs from health sciences to business to nursing. online and on campus. Learn more at rasmussen.edu. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees more frivolous spending.
Any idea how much the Democrats spent on the January 6th committee? Eric, do you remember how long was the January 6th committee? Like a couple of months, maybe?
Give or take, yeah.
Okay. They spent $16 million of our money. $16 million.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. You know when you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product for me. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset, and even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible, real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting HEDGE to 989898. That's HEDGE to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text HEDGE to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com.
6:39 and check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Heavy and slow. Eden's already 35 in from Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange, while the Ike into the old post office is at 1 hour. Especially heavy between Wolf Road and Sacramento. Stevenson inbound, stop and go from the Des Plaines River Bridge all the way to Kedzie, 53 in to Lakeshore Drive. Tri-State, stop and go traffic northbound between I-80-94 and Halstead due to delays left over from 2 southbound accidents. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, we see clouds today, thunderstorm, high 82. Clouds with a couple of showers, maybe a storm overnight, a low of 61. Mostly cloudy and 56 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Leslie Sadowski Fugit is a Downers Grove Village board member. Actually, we've got audio of an early Leslie Sadowski Fugit before she rose to prominence in Downers Grove. This was back when she was on a college campus.
You pigs! You pig motherfuckers! You pig motherfuckers!
Where would you get that? Wow.
That's that's actually Fordham University students when they were told the reaction of a delicate little flower at Fordham reacting to the news that they were going to be arrested if they were part of the encampment at Fordham. But I mean, it might as well have been Leslie Sadowski Fugit because the that delicate flower that you just heard will grow up to be obnoxious, intolerable, ghoulish village board member somewhere. I have no doubt. Probably in Illinois. Leslie Sadowski Fugit is the ringleader on the village board who ousted a library board trustee named Bill Nienberg. And, of course, the entire government in Downers Grove, like most of DuPage County, has been completely turned over to Marxists. I mean, there's a few exceptions on the board, and I'm sure in town, but they're outnumbered. And a lot of those exceptions who are outnumbered are sitting around scratching their heads. How did this happen? Leslie Sadowski Fugit, just to give you the flavor here, from calling police MFing pigs and crying about let me out because it's finals time, like you saw at Columbia, and running around in keffiyehs and hoisting the Palestinian flag and all the other things a young, rambunctious Marxist will do before they run for local office. And then they got all polished up. But it's the same rap. It's just presented in a less repulsive package.
I will simply state that there is ample evidence to support that Trustee Nienberg has not acted in the best interests of the Downers Grove Public Library, and in some cases disparaged marginalized populations and minimized their harassment by board meeting attendees. He consistently comes to meetings of those which he attends unprepared. This goes against the bylaws and creates an unsafe work environment for staff and fellow trustees. Coaching and conversations have been offered from my understanding. In my case, after I was supposed to meet with him and my daughter ended up sick, so I had to cancel a coffee because I had to stay home with her from school. Despite reaching out to reschedule that offer, I was never taken up on it again. I know I'm not the only one who had that happen, and
Let me tell you something.
What?
If a Marxist wants to reschedule coffee, then you will reschedule the coffee.
I mean, then she throws her kid under the bus. Stop with the sick kid excuses. Ladies, it doesn't work.
I have a question. Let's just say for the sake of argument that Bill Nienberg was unprepared for a board meeting, just for the sake of argument. How does that make somebody unsafe? A library board trustee was unprepared for a meeting. Somebody's life was jeopardized by that?
I know.
How?
It's a
Explain.
big reach.
But he was prepared enough to marginalize already marginalized communities. She continues. I mean, she's just a joy.
because this has nothing to do with political affiliations and everything
Please.
to
Point of
deal
order. Come on, please,
with
folks, come on.
dangerous extremism that is taking hold not just here in Downers Grove or the western suburbs, but the entire
Dangerous extremism. It's not about politics. And then the proper close for one of these neo-Jacobins is a little bit of a lecture about how you could be a little bit better. Like her. Live the golden rule. And reschedule your coffees.
My request to everyone out there is to take some time to reflect on these behaviors, like yelling out at your, fellow residents. Are you treating others with the respect that you want to be treated? Have you had those one-on-one conversations with people that make you uncomfortable? Or do you simply...
Did you reschedule the coffee? God bless you, Nienberg! Nienberg! Does she just sit at the local Starbucks and just exclaim Nienberg's name like Ricardo Montalban in Wrath of Khan? What a silly, ridiculous person. And she's in charge of Downers Grove, effectively. Way to go, Downers Grove! Yippee. For more on this, updating the situation, apparently Bill Nienberg has not been thrown in Downers Grove prison yet for his crimes against marginalized communities, or maybe he's making a collect call from from the library's prison. I'm not sure, but he joins us now. Bill Nienberg, former Downers Grove library trustee, now the head of a shadow organization of extremists called the Downers Grove Library Distrustees. Bill, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a fugitive from justice. I'm calling.
Are you?
Undisclosed location.
Bill, the question, I didn't feel like we got a straight answer from you last time. And, this is a time where we need to heal. Could you explain why you didn't reschedule the coffee?
I can't. I'm gonna get some therapy and explore my feelings and try to make amends for the coffee gate.
Well, it's those kind of snide remarks that make people feel unsafe, Bill. I just have to tell you that she's trying to build a community of love, and here you are. So give us the latest. Give us the latest on. You said you'd continue this fight even after you had the trustees intimidated. Well, 4 of them at least intimidated enough by Fugit to oust you. So what do things look like after that village board meeting from a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, we're putting some things together, and we'll have some announcements in the coming week. But I wanted to get on the show this morning and update you with the latest of the library antics. Before I go into that, you had mentioned before that Downers Grove was outnumbered on the village board. It's partially outnumbered. There's 3 known progressives on the village council, and then partially betrayed, and I'm speaking about Commissioner Mike Davenport, who was elected with some conservative support and should never, ever again enjoy the support of conservatives in Downers Grove or DuPage County. Okay. So they were outnumbered by known progressives and one betrayal of his voters. The library had their latest circus board meeting last week. It was cut short at 45 minutes because one of the trustees had to leave early, and another of the trustees was out of town. Now, if you recall, this is one of my cardinal sins that got the pitchfork crowd all fired up, that I missed something like 4 or 5 meetings over 2 years. But now it's apparently okay. So they had to cut the meeting short. They did get to public comments.
That board trustee who had to leave, was that to go to coffee with Leslie Sadowski Fugit by any chance?
No, but it was the board trustee that revealed the status of my library card at
are you serious?
February blindside meeting. No, it was her. More to come on that in a minute.
Yeah.
So they
papers.
held the public.
Yeah.
Right. They held public comments, but then in the middle of one of the public commenters, one of the trustees interrupted, and called for a recess, and they recessed for 5 minutes. So in a cut short meeting, they cut short the public comments, and they did this for the sin of addressing the library director directly during the comments. Okay. So the board president, Swapna Jagani, makes up rules willy-nilly for public comments and conducts the meeting not according to Robert's Rules of Order, but Swapna's Rules of Disorder, and cut the meeting in the middle of public comments. They went to a 5-minute recess to collect themselves and allow their pearl clutching, and then they came back and continued public comments, went to the end of the meeting, and cut the meeting short at 45 minutes. This would all be funny if it wasn't for the fact that the library is one of the largest items on the Downers Grove tax bill. And in the past year, they raised the tax levy by 4%. In the past 5 years, we've gone from a budget of in the low 5 millions to over 6 million, approaching 6.5 million. And that's in a state that ranks, I think I saw the Illinois Policy Journal put out the other day, 42nd out of 50 in terms of property taxes. So these are not funny issues.
No. We're
councils.
We're 50 out of 50. We're number one in the country when it comes to the highest property taxes. But did the extra $1.5 million go to buy another, I don't know, 100,000 copies of Genderqueer, or what's the money being spent on?
Potentially, because that was one of the reasons I got on the board. I wanted to see some innovation to keep the libraries relevant. And their idea of innovation is more progressive policies for their staff and book banning on behalf of progressive and activist causes. So the trustee that motioned for the recess was Marty Sladak. And if you recall, one of the items in my library censure was related to a post that I made on X about book banning. Sladak has made a similar post recently and attributed all of the protestations about the library to lies told by white Christian nationalists. And in her profile description, she names herself as a Downers Grove Board of Trustee member. So I guess that conflict of interest also doesn't apply. There's been apparently some reform in the standards for trustees since I was dismissed. My posting... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My posting back in December was about this book banning matter. And you guys probably remember last June there was an a House bill passed that required libraries to take a stand against book banning, bend the knee to the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights, or risk losing state funding. Now, if the issue of having to bend the knee to a non-elected bureaucratic organization run by a self-avowed Marxist isn't disturbing enough, the book banning that actually happens, because this is a totally manufactured crisis in 2 years, there was no book banning at the Downers Grove Library. The book banning that does happen is administered by the library staff under the guise of selection guidelines.
Yeah, I saw that you on social media that you proposed, or somebody proposed, like including James Lindsay's book, and when it came to the issue of culture and gender identity politics, and which is good. That's what we always talk about. You know, go ahead. You have your genderqueer, but now let's include Abigail Schreier. Let's include James Lindsay. Let's include some other books too. So we have the full range of opinion on a particular topic or approach on a particular topic, and that was denied, of course, because they're not book banners.
As was Abigail Schreier's book, the book about gender altering surgeries.
Right.
Both of those were denied within the last year, and the library cited selection standards and misinformation and attributed truth to the American Psychology Association and used that as a reason to decline.
I suppose the CAST report that came out of the National Health Service in the UK recently, that's something else that would not be available in the Downers Grove Library for the same reason.
No, but you make a good point. These are not settled matters, right? This is not settled science. There's still many questions around why has transgenderism doubled in the last 5 years. There are many countries outside of the United States that are banning these gender-altering surgeries. This is not a settled matter, and you think a library that was so devoted to the truth and objectivity and presenting all the sides of a matter would allow both sides of the matter to have a presence in their library, but they routinely turn these down based on their progressive ideologies. So Abigail Schreier's book, Irreversible Damage, these are not fly-by-night books. I think it was a top
New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. It was a New York Times bestseller. It was ranked as one of the top 10 books of the year by The Economist in 2021. These books regularly appear in the bestseller list on Amazon. These are not like obscure books, and they deserve to be in our stacks, but they get turned down routinely because of, favoritism towards one side of the ideological spectrum.
What's the fallout in Downers Grove, if any, from this imbroglio? I mean, we had a bunch of residents that attended that meeting where you were voted out, expressed support for you and opposition to the Leslie Sadowski Fugits of the world. But I don't. One gets the feeling that that Leslie Sadowski Fugit and her coven feel fairly invulnerable, and there's probably good reason they do. So I'm just wondering if there's anything surprising that has occurred in the last couple of weeks since this went down.
I guess the one thing that I would point to is the fact that the silent majority is alive and well. The amount of support that I've gotten over the last couple of weeks is incredible. I've had people walk up to me in church and on the streets and in the neighborhood and express support and outrage and sympathy for what's happened. So I hope that, and we talked about this last time, that this is going to wake some people up, and that will play out at the polling place.
What about online? I mean, I'm reading these vile comments people were making about you. Is it still going strong here? I mean, one later, you obviously don't like women in power and have a caustic personality. This is your last warning? What is that?
Yeah, well, in that same post, he said, think about your family. This is your last warning. So I've listened to 2 years of unsubstantiated rumors about threats to the library board without any shred of evidence. Well, this was evidence, and we went to the police department, filed a police report, and this week I signed a criminal complaint for criminal disorderly conduct. And we know who the individual is, and we're going to attempt to prosecute this.
Good.
I noted, we talked about this last week. Downers Grove Public Library has its story time coming up. It's June 7th. Storytime and craft making event that will teach the virtues of homosexuality to children aged 2 to 6. It's a part of the library's Discovery. It's located, advertised in the Discovery's newsletter that's mailed to taxpayers at their expense. Stop by to make a rainbow craft celebrating Pride Month. Preschoolers must be directly supervised by an adult. It's available to the first 100 crafters. I'm sure it's already oversubscribed by Leslie Sadowski Fugit and her coven. But so those are the kinds of events that the library doesn't have to worry about you making a ruckus and perhaps making the environment unsafe.
I mean, that's one, like most things like this, they wrap it in innocuous do-goodism about making people feel welcome. But it's the age appropriateness that's the issue here.
Right.
2 to 6-year-olds don't think like this. This is not done for the benefit of 2 to 6-year-olds. It's done for the benefit of the adults, and the adults that either
46-year-old Marxists. Yes, right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I know I've got some friends and little birdies in Downers Grove. So let me see if you're open to this, because I'm still a little bit sideways on this coffee that you failed to reschedule. I know Leslie Sadowski Fugit and her coven like to guzzle Chardonnay. They are Chardonnay Antifa at the Cellar Door wine bar. What if I brokered a Chardonnay summit between you and Leslie Sadowski Fugit? Very much in the Obama beer summit style. Is that something you'd be amenable to?
That'd be great. I'm always open to dialogue. I think that'd be great. I'm more of a Sauv Blanc guy than the Chardonnay. But
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I mean, we'll accommodate. Anything for peace in Downers Grove.
Right.
All right. Let me work on that, and I'll get back to you, Bill Nienberg. Thanks so much for joining us. Former Downers Grove. Yes. Go ahead.
Do you guys have one more second? Because I'm going to break some news on your show.
Oh,
sure.
Please.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Please.
So one of the things that was discussed at my censure meeting was my library card status. And we thought that this was a violation of the Library Records Confidentiality Act. And so we FOIA'd the library, and we asked for the names of all the library card holders. And to our surprise, they gave it to us. 28,000 plus names of library card holders were released by the Downers Grove Library. We made the same FOIA request to 5 other area libraries and were denied each time. And then we appealed those FOIA denials and got a ruling from the Attorney General yesterday that confirmed that it is indeed a violation of the Library Records Confidentiality Act to release the names of library card holders. And one of the libraries, and you can't even make this stuff up, cited that they conferred with their legal counsel before they denied our request. And it is the exact same law firm that is employed by the Downers Grove Public Library, who lied about also conferring with their legal counsel.
We got to go, but thanks so much, Bill. I hope they go to library prison. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's
Appreciate
7
it.
a.m. WIND Chicago.
This is a Fox News alert. It's police versus protesters at UCLA. I'm Dave Anthony.
Just beyond this line of police, that's where the protesters are. They've lined up as well, probably 2 or 3 deep, and we have police here 2 or 3 deep right here, and there's going to be a confrontation. It's been a standoff.
Fox's William Lajeunesse right there on campus. Where in addition to all those bangs the last few hours, there appears to be tear gas as officers keep tearing down a pro-Palestinian encampment, taking some protesters out in zip ties.
Well, police have moved about 1,000 students out of this area. Now, I will tell you, having been here for 3 days, as you mentioned, this was an unlawful assembly 2 days ago, and the university did nothing and allowed these people to reinforce themselves.
Some faculty are there outside now supporting the student protesters. UCLA professor Nir Hoffman is not. He's Jewish and tells Fox he was attacked the other day.
This was never peaceful. Jews were not allowed to go in to the campus. Jews were not allowed to go into the library. Jews were not allowed to go to classes.
There are no in-person classes today. UCLA says it'll be remote learning only. Former President Trump, campaigning in Michigan and Wisconsin on an off day in his criminal trial, called on all college campuses to take down encampments.
Vanquish the radicals and take back our campuses for all of the normal students who want a safe place from which to learn.
As for the war in Gaza, which these protests are all about, Hamas appears to be giving a thumbs down to a new ceasefire proposal with Israel.
The terms haven't been confirmed, but they appear to center on a 40-day truce with around 33 Israeli hostages being released in exchange for hundreds of prisoners held by Israel. Hamas wants an end to the war, not just a pause in fighting.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Back to former President Trump. He'll soon return to court in New York City for more testimony at his criminal trial and another hearing into more gag order violations. The former president calls that unconstitutional, claiming he's being persecuted and silenced. America's listening to Fox News.
56 degrees. Some sunshine to start the morning. Clouds on the way. That's 7:02. Burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership on the south side early this morning. Chicago police saying they drove away from the Napleton dealership with approximately 4 to 7 vehicles. Police in Vernon Hills are investigating an apparent murder-suicide. Officers responded to a single-family home along Cherry Valley Road. Police say a 67-year-old woman and 77-year-old man were found dead inside from apparent gunshot wounds. The man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is in custody after he was arrested in Glendale Heights. Xavier Tate Jr. was taken into custody last night by members of the Great Lakes Regional Task Force. Several Jewish organizations are calling for Northwestern University President Michael Schill to resign over the handling of the pro-Palestinian encampment on campus there. Meantime, 7 members of the President's Advisory Committee on Preventing Anti-Semitism at Northwestern University are stepping down amid anti-Jewish protests at that college. Many Republican lawmakers in Springfield want to curb instances of motorists fleeing police by making the offense a felony. In DuPage County alone, cases of fleeing police have increased over the last 3 years by 151%. State Senator John Curran saying police departments all over Illinois are experiencing motorists refusing to pull over for a traffic stop.
It is really raising the consequence is really one of the most important paths forward to curbing this behavior. That is a growing epidemic all throughout the suburbs, all metro areas throughout this state.
A Class 4 felony conviction in Illinois would result in 1 to 3 years of prison time. Cubs beat the Mets 1-0, while the White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. The news is powered by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping the lights on when unexpected storms cause loss of power at your business. Get help quickly at CharlesEquipment.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees too much agreement in D.C.
They might shout at each other over abortion. They might shout at each other over guns. But that's all theatrics. When it comes down to what really matters, protecting big corporations, keeping our borders wide open, and relentlessly invading foreign countries and funding wars that have nothing to do with us, DC finds harmony.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset. And even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible, real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text PROTECT to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of ad properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. You'll get the most value for your home. Call 708-828-0000. Eden's right now, 36 from Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy inbound O'Hare into the circle at 74. The Ike right now, due to an accident, is jammed up between 25th and Independence. It's 1 hour into the old post office. Dan Ryan right now jams up solid, 26 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. And delays on I-80. A crash investigation continuing on the southbound tri-state is backing up eastbound I-80. And then there is an accident involving a semi westbound between US 30 and Briggs. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, here is Steve Williams.
A very warm day. It'll be cloudy. A couple of thunderstorms for the afternoon, which could bring some damaging wind. The high 82. Partly to mostly cloudy. Shower and thunderstorm for the night. Low 61. Showers tomorrow morning. Partly sunny by the afternoon. The high 71. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
56 right now. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we tackle our next topic, I just wanted to put a fine point on our conversation with recently deposed Downers Grove Library Board trustee Bill Nienberg, because we were up against the clock at the end of last hour when he was telling us about how the Downers Grove Library apparently broke the Library Records Act, broke the law, by releasing the names of all library card holders in the village. And this sounds like a relatively idiosyncratic thing, and it was a bit pedantic for one of the library staff or library board trustees to allege that Nienberg didn't have a library card and this was some sort of great offense. And I think they were wrong as well as being invasive of Nienberg's privacy, the same privacy that every other resident of Downers Grove enjoys. And apparently, per his discussion with legal counsel, and the legal counsel that represents the Downers Grove Library, ironically, it's privacy that all Illinois residents enjoy in terms of their library card status not being released. In other words, you don't release the full list of library card holders. I guess that's covered under the Library Board Act. I take him at his word on that and his understanding from conferring with legal counsel. But if they did indeed break the law, as he alleged on our show exclusively, then that matter should be referred to Bob Berlin for prosecution, DuPage County State's Attorney. Yep. And what is better than holding lawless Marxists to account under the law, using the law to hold the lawless accountable? That's what we're supposed to do. And so if that's what the facts suggest, as Nienberg did, then good for Nienberg and other people who are participating and fighting back against these thugs in Downers Grove. That's more than is being done in a lot of communities. So, anyway, that's why we like to profile people who are putting in the fight, because maybe they're happening upon a model that could be replicated in other communities against other Leslie Sadowski Fugits and their covens, because they exist throughout the suburbs, don't they?
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, when is the AR-15 drag queen gun safety course going to take place at the DG Library?
If it was a drag queen gun safety course, if Eddie the Eagle it was replaced by a drag queen, that may be the only way to do a gun safety course in Downers Grove. So there's an idea.
So woke.
We've been talking about free speech and the rule of law a lot this morning, so let's continue, because the Weaponization of Government Committee had 2 stars from the Biden administration on the docket, testifying before the committee. Rob Flaherty was the director of digital strategy for Mr. 10%, the big guy. And former Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Director Andy Slavitt, who is a particularly obnoxious COVIDian, if you remember, during the height of it. Maybe that name rings a bell. They were before the Weaponization of Government Committee to talk about how they leaned on social media companies to do for the government what the government cannot do to Americans itself, which is to restrain their First Amendment rights, take these posts down and so forth. It's very interesting. And here again, I'll tell you, whatever you think of Matt Gaetz and his deficiencies, at least when it comes to these committee hearings, he comes prepared. And I don't believe he's an attorney, but he and his staff do the research and put together the cases that really nicely illustrate what's going on, oftentimes, which is not always easy to do in, the 5 minutes you have questioning some of these witnesses. And that happened again. We profiled him yesterday, querying Lloyd Austin about boots on the ground in Gaza. Well, here he is in exchanges with Rob Flaherty and Andy Slavitt about the illegal censorship by the Biden administration of Americans by putting the arm on social media companies. He starts with Rob Flaherty, Biden's former director of digital strategy.
Mr. Flaherty, as you were putting the heat on social media companies, did you make the decisions which posts were most egregious to highlight or flag, or were there other people telling you which posts to go and express concern about?
Congressman, I'll say in general, we were lifting up examples of content that we felt were violating.
When you say we, I just want to know which human beings were involved in deciding, like, this Leonardo DiCaprio meme had to go.
In general, we were discussing specific pieces of content when we were discussing.
Again, I know you guys love pronouns, but we is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the names of the people.
Congressman, I'm not authorized to.
Well, you wrote an email on April 21st, 2021. We remain concerned that YouTube is funneling people into vaccine hesitancy. This concern is shared at the highest, and I mean highest, levels of the White House. So we'd like to continue a good faith dialogue here. I'm on the hook for reporting out. Who were you on the hook for reporting out to?
Congressman, I can't recall who specifically I was referencing in that document.
Because you kind of just strike me as a functionary. I don't really think you were making these decisions. I think that these people that you say the highest levels of the White, when you say the highest, and I mean the highest levels of the White House, who are you referring to? Without using the word we.
Congressman, I can't recall specifically who I'm referencing.
Well, when you say are you talking about President Biden?
Congressman, I don't think it should be a surprise that the administration was focused on the issue of presenting authoritative information
by the way,
about the
I
vaccine.
find your testimony terrifying but incredibly intellectually honest. Because you've come here and you've taken the position, look, you know, in the White House, people are always trying to shape how information is received. They do it with the New York Times, you've seen it on the West Wing, and I think a lot of Americans see a distinction between powerful White House officials trying to shape a news story in the Washington Post and then trying to shape what all of America and the world can see in the digital information space. But you say there's no distinction there, and I think that's honest. It scares the hell out of me, but that seems to be your testimony, right?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. A couple of things. One is, I just love the we stuff. These generic we. Well, who's the we?
Who's
they.
The we?
Well, who's the they? He doesn't know he doesn't remember who he's reporting out to. He references the highest, and I mean the highest levels of the White House, and he doesn't know who he's talking about. I don't find that intellectually honest or credible. I think he knows exactly who he was reporting to, and he doesn't want to name names, which is understandable, but not defensible. I agree with him, with Gates, though, that it is useful, whether he was intentional or not, that they basically just say, trying to spin a story to the Amazon Post or the Gray Lady is the same thing as trying to censor information that we don't want out across the board, across every digital platform, so that as few Americans can access it and assimilate it and contemplate it as possible. We think those exercises are the same. And that's our defense for using effectively cutouts, using social media to do our bidding. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to find that particularly persuasive in the Missouri v. Murthy case, but it's an argument. Gates continued as they tried to downplay how much arm twisting they attempted to do with respect to social media companies. The problem is that a lot of the arm twisting is memorialized with a specific language, and Andy Slavitt is such a doofus. I know he's supposed to be a smart guy, but he's such a doofus. He doesn't even know when he's being set up with specific language. This is a good exchange, first with Flaherty and then with Slavitt. And then Gates' closing comment is on the mark.
Can someone quickly remind me why we are removing, rather than demoting or labeling, claims that COVID is man-made before May? And the reply to that email is, and I quote, "Because we were under pressure from the administration, we shouldn't have done it." So were you part of that pressure campaign?
Congressman, again, having not seen the document, I can't speak to who they're referencing or what they're referencing. All I can say is...
Well, Mr. Slavitt, were you a part of that pressure campaign?
I don't believe we were applying any undue pressure on social media companies. I don't think they interpreted it that way.
Well, in writing they have. Mr. Chairman, I seek to enter into the record the email where the people at Facebook are saying, okay, well, objection, fine, it exists, it's part, it's out there. And Mr. Slavitt, there's another email, which I'm sure the Democrats would object to having considered, where a Facebook employee says, "Just got off an hour-long call with Andy Slavitt. He was outraged, not too strong a word to describe his reaction, that we did not remove this post, which was the third most highly ranked in the data we sent him." That was a Leonardo DiCaprio meme. That was a joke. Were you guys trying to get jokes removed?
Mr. Congressman, thanks for asking. I'll try to explain, but really briefly. If Facebook, by their own policy, had put something on their website which said 250,000 people are dying every year from the vaccine, that would undoubtedly have violated their policy.
Okay, well, let's go to true information. Hold on, let's go to true information then. Because in another Facebook document, they say, quote, "The Surgeon General wants us to remove true information about side effects." Mr. Flaherty, should true information be removed?
Congressman, I can't speak to what they're...
Can't even speak to whether or not we should censor the truth because they don't like where it leads.
I mean, it's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't say they felt pressure. Oh, really? Nick Clegg, who's the VP of Global Affairs for Facebook, says, "We felt pressure to do this with it." Okay. There's a bit of a divide in terms of what the people being pressured felt in terms of the people applying the pressure. And then that piece, first you're doing meme censorship. And of course they're doing meme censorship. I mean, they put Doug Mackey in prison for a meme. You're not allowed to tell jokes if the jokes, if they find the jokes unfunny, or somebody could interpret them as the truth because, they have no sense of humor. And then that last piece too, where you have the social media, Facebook in this case, saying they're trying to get us to take down true information. The Surgeon General is, because they don't like the uncomfortable questions that people might have or thoughts they may have if the truth got out. And the hemming and hawing. So it's okay. There's no distinction. True, untrue. Would we just throw it all under the heading of misinformation, disinformation, and we say to Facebook and Twitter and other platforms, you got to stamp that out. There's some pretty damning testimony, I think, from those two guys, and it gives you a real insight into the mentality of these of these central planners, these minders in the Biden administration. And again, as we know from our conversations with Mike Benz and others, what they're trying to do in advance of the Missouri v. Murphy decision by the Supreme Court before the end of next month is cut out the cutouts. In other words, they're setting up these independent organizations, veterans of the central planning, minder, deep state blob, like NewsGuard, where you've got Tom Ridge, former DHS secretary, and former CIA director Michael Hayden, and they'll do to the social media companies what the government was doing. We need one more degree of separation. We can't have government officials putting the arm, applying the pressure like Andy Slavitt and Rob Flaherty. We need separation, people outside the government. So we have NewsGuard and we have other organizations similarly situated, and they'll be the ones that are putting the arm on the social media companies, or in some cases collaborating, because Sergey Brin has no problem collaborating with these minders. He's trying to manipulate his platform to advance the electoral interests of the Dem socialists as well. There's no problem there. Elon Musk is the outlier now. Even Zuckerberg's a little bit reticent, but nothing like Musk. But the rest of the platforms, with the exception of the alternatives like a Rumble or Parler or something, Google specifically, Facebook to less so, they're on board. And, you don't need to draw them a map to say these are the former deep state guys that we worked with previously under Biden, previously under Biden. Now they're telling us that this is misinformation and disinformation. Well, there's our cover. These are national security experts, they're public health experts, and so on and so forth. So we work with experts to make sure that we root out misinformation and disinformation that could create any sort of unsafety if the information is disseminated. We don't want people to take bad information in such a way that it makes other people unsafe. And so we're on the side of goodness and light. And that's what they'll tell America in advance of November of this year. Get ready for it. These committees, I know it doesn't feel like they're particularly important. It's a lot of speechifying and a lot of questioning and answering that doesn't go anywhere. But
it's scary stuff.
Well, it is,
They
and
use
it's
their
also
power to control the narrative and to silence people who were against it.
Well, and
a lot of people lost their lives.
Well, and when you get testimony like you got from those two, then you have a conversation about it, and you start to make you start to maybe penetrate the consciousness of some people. So, understand the mentality here, understand what their angle is, what their aims are. And then, maybe you get a little bit more intellectually curious and you start investigating to understand and to remind yourself what NewsGuard is. And you pay attention to the Supreme Court's decision, maybe even read the opinion when the Missouri v. Murthy case is decided and so forth. You become perhaps a better citizen, more skeptical citizen, and maybe you make better choices at the ballot box. Maybe you become a better opinion leader within your circles of influence. So these committee hearings, like these weaponization of government hearings, they're not all particularly useful, but some of them are. That one was. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Hello, my name is Jim. I'm a very outdoors, active type person. With Balance of Nature, it sure has helped me feel really good every day. The fruits and vegetable ingredients, I think, is the whole foundation of what makes the product so good for me. I'm looking at the future, and I do not want to stop doing what I'm enjoying. With the product, I know I'll be able to continue it. I feel great. I can't complain about anything.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Just look at it outside. Sunshine. It's going to be warm today. But if you have chronic pain in your knees, your hip, your back, your joints, you're not going to be able to enjoy this day. But there is a solution without having surgery or taking drugs to ease the pain. We're talking about QC Kinetics. At QC Kinetics, they have helped thousands of people around this country, including elite athletes, get rid of that joint pain due to an injury or arthritis. QC Kinetics is partnered with medical director Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, former orthopedic surgeon, a pioneer in the field with 20 years of clinical work, teaching and publishing. And he'd love to talk to you if you want to make an appointment. The consultation is free. Saturday appointments now available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We save saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset, and even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible, real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting HEDGE to 989898. That's HEDGE to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text HEDGE to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. You know when you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560, The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Bjorn Lomborg joins us from the Copenhagen Consensus Center to talk about climate change and energy policy. He's a little skeptical that renewables will dominate the 21st century. So was Senator John Kennedy in an exchange with the University of Miami professor that we'll bring you at 7:37.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
57 degrees at 7:32. Los Angeles police dismantling the pro-Palestinian tents on the campus of UCLA. California Highway Patrol officers tossing flashbang grenades to try and get that crowd to disperse. Law enforcement officials from several agencies then moved on to the UCLA quad before dawn, pushing protesters off the campus.
This crowd became agitated after police breached the encampment. The encampment is probably about 500 yards to my left. It is in the far corner where they are releasing, as you can hear, flashbangs every few seconds.
Our reporter Steve Patterson on the scene. Video shows fireworks being fired into large crowds, officers in riot gear arresting people. President Biden preparing to meet with the families of police officers shot and killed this week in the line of duty. On Monday, 4 officers were killed while attempting to serve a warrant in Charlotte, North Carolina. Police shot and killed an armed student outside of a Wisconsin middle school yesterday. Officers fired shots at the suspect, killing him before he tried to enter the school.
My son Marvin, he goes to the middle school. It was around like 11 o'clock where he called me crying, said that he heard multiple shots and him and his friends took off running. And then my other son called me, who goes to the high school. He left with his friends because they were evacuated fast.
The Wisconsin Department of Justice says it's opened an investigation. One of the kings of guitar has died, Duane Eddy. Had a string of guitar hits in the 1950s and 60s, including that signature hit, Rebel Rouser, in 1958. Eddie's unique guitar sound would influence some of rock's biggest hitmakers, George Harrison, Bruce Springsteen, and John Fogerty. In other news, we're following burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership on the south side overnight. Police in Vernon Hills are investigating an apparent murder-suicide from Wednesday morning. Police say a 67-year-old woman and 77-year-old man were found dead inside a home along Cherry Valley Road. And a man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is in custody. Arrested in Glendale Heights, Xavier Tate Jr. was taken into custody by the Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force. Cubs shut out the Mets 1-0 behind Shota Imanaga and striking his 7 strikeouts, only allowing 3 hits over 7 innings of work, while the White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. The news, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 right here on AM 560 The Answer. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager isn't sure how people vote Democrat.
Has the left given us a non-binary term for mother? My parent, I guess that's it. They're against mother and father. I have read that to you on a number of occasions. And people still vote Democrat. The tragedy is that if the country is destroyed from within, a vast number of good people are going to be hurt.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer. It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 golf outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 19th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package, which includes 25 one-minute commercials between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. And we also have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, and by Crosscom Public Adjusters.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been cooking most of my life after seeing my parents cook, so I stuck with some of the Spanish traditions, some of the Cuban dishes, and I like to cook my own food because I want to know what's in my food. Balance of Nature, it's already incorporated into my diet. I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance of Nature has. So I am taking the initiative to stay on Balance of Nature forever.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound 90 minutes now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the I side, 80 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stop and go on the outbound side from Pulaski Road all the way out to Des Plaines Avenue. Stevenson in 1 hour from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, right now 34 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jammed up southbound Lawrence to Belmont. Tri-State, Gapers delay on the northbound side between 8094 and Halstead due to the two southbound accidents. Southbound on the Tri-State, you're jammed up, almost not moving. I-80 to the Lincoln Oasis. 3 left lanes are blocked due to an accident involving a semi. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In our ReviveYourLawn.com weather center, mostly cloudy, a thunderstorm or two, high 82, couple of showers and a thunderstorm overnight, low 61. Partly sunny and 57 right now. Your next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana had a fun exchange with a University of Miami environmental science professor of some sort named Jeffrey Supran. This was during a Senate Budget Committee hearing. The topic, the fossil fuel industry, big oil, avoiding responsibility for climate change. This was what Sheldon White's Only, Senator Sheldon White's Only from Rhode Island and the other Democrats were pushing. And this is what Senator John Kennedy was pushing back against. And Kennedy went to the Twitter account of one Professor Jeffrey Supran and wanted to get his reaction to the viewpoints he's expressed online. Take a listen.
December 14, 2023, you tweeted in support of climate defiance. That's an entity that the Brookings Institute has called a radical climate change group. Is that correct?
I don't recall, I'm afraid.
Okay. Would this be the same climate defiance that I'm looking at your tweet, you tweeted in support of them. Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Joe Biden, quote, a sick
I don't know, but as I
Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Lisa Murkowski a murderer?
I do not know. As I said in my statement...
Would this be the same climate defiance who told the CEO of Exxon to, quote, eat Darren, close quote?
I'm not responsible for the statements of other
nice
people.
Group you're
and I also
hanging
do not
around
know the
with,
answer.
Doc. Here's what your tweet says. Quote, we do, in support of climate defiance, we do not do online petitions. We do not do NGO coalition letters. We do not do bus stop ads. We chase fossil fuel CEOs and the politicians who do their bidding, and we do not apologize, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
That is not my tweet, sir.
That is your tweet. I'm looking at it. Here's a copy right here. It's right off your website, Biggest Dallas. On October 31, 2023, you said this on Twitter. Quote, climate justice was coined by our movements to locate it as a struggle against genocidal racial injustice, colonialism, and apartheid. If your climate justice doesn't stand with the Palestinians against colonialism and apartheid, then your climate justice has no justice in it, close quote. Did you say that?
I believe not.
Here it is,
may
Dallas.
I please see the documents?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses' documents there.
May I please point out that this form
the
of...
senator's time has expired, and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record, and
Yes,
they'll
I'd
have
like to submit all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
That will be done without objection. Senator Merkley.
May I clarify one final point?
Proceed.
These are not my tweets. These are retweets. It's an important
Oh, you
contradiction.
often retweet stuff you don't support? Is that what you're telling me, Doc?
I did not say that I don't support this. I simply did not tweet it, which, as you were
But you
alleging.
retweeted
I'd
them,
like
didn't
to
you?
make very clear that this
But
form
you
of character
retweeted them,
assassination
didn't
is
you?
characteristic of the propaganda techniques
You
of fossil fuel
you
interest.
retweeted
Senator Merkley.
didn't you?
Thank you.
Are you going to call me a sick?
It's Senator Merkley's time.
Oh,
Getting a little chippy in Senate committee hearing.
committee
Yeah.
hearing meetings get fun, huh?
Well, and Kennedy's point is well taken. I mean, you're retweeting the intemperate, ignorant, illogical content of a radical left organization that is not talking and dealing in climate science. It's dealing in politics. Per tweets about the conflict in Gaza, in addition to just ad hominem in the direction of politicians and fossil fuel companies. And but we're supposed to take this button-down professor from the University of Miami seriously. It's very much like what we've seen on college campuses about the conflict in Gaza, about the war going on there, and all these professors, this rogues gallery of humanities professors, in particular places like Fordham and Columbia and University of Wisconsin, standing with these children having vile temper tantrums with featuring anti-Semitic screeds. No, at some point they may not be your words, but when you sign your name to those words, they become your words. But more importantly, they're illustrative of your attitude and your intellect and how seriously we should take you. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Bjorn Lomborg. He's the president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank. He's also the author of the book, his latest, Best Things First. Bjorn, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, it's always good to be on.
Well, I mean, I know we want to get into the substance of things, but there is a point that comes across, as I mentioned, in that hearing and that exchange between Kennedy and that University of Miami professor. And, the fact is that many of these academics that are running around putting a more sanitized patina on sort of mindless apocalyptic thinking about the climate and predictions about the climate, I mean, they're not to be taken seriously. You need to kick the tires with these guys.
Absolutely. So, look, global warming, as we've said many times before, is a real problem, but it's just by no means the end of the world. It's a problem, just like many other things are in the 21st century. And so if we totally ignore climate change, we'll probably do too little to fix it. But if it's the only thing we focus on, which it seems like a lot of people would like to make it, then we'll undoubtedly end up doing way too much and forget, of course, all the other things that also matter. I don't know, get better health care, get better education, make sure that people get pulled out of poverty, that we get more economic growth. All these other things that to most people around the world matter much, much more and would actually also make them much more resilient to anything the world throws at them, including climate change.
Well, the other thing, too, is, of course, the focus is always on the big, bad United States. And as our friend Steve Moore noted in his a recent edition of his Unleashed Prosperity newsletter, 2021, 2022, 2023 finds that no country reduced its carbon dioxide emissions more than the United States on a per capita basis, even though our GDP is 50% higher than China's. Our per capita emissions are roughly the same. And ours are going down every year while theirs are going up. So, I mean, that's number one, even by using their own metric. And number two is that even the right metric? I mean, our friend Patrick Moore, the co-founder of Greenpeace, is always saying carbon dioxide is plant food. It's not a problem. It's the business of the life cycle.
Well, what you have to remember is carbon dioxide is a lot of different things. So Patrick is absolutely right that it does actually increase global greening. We've seen that very clearly with our satellites. There's more green stuff on the planet. That's mostly a very good thing. Now, it may not always be a good thing. You may disagree with having more algae in the ocean. There's limits, but it is absolutely a good thing. But there are also negative impacts. We see rising temperatures, which all of things equal will make it harder for societies that have been built and where most of the infrastructure is done for a temperature that was 50 or 100 years ago. If it gets warmer, or indeed if it got colder, it will be a problem. Again, not the end of the world, but it is a problem. And so they're right in saying this is something we should consider. But the problem is when all of these people get so involved in this that the only thing they can say is, we got to cut all CO2 right now, right here. There's a reason why China emits ever more CO2. That's because they actually want to get rich, and they found out that coal is one of the great ways to get richer. And remember, if you look at India and Africa, the other two big regions that are also likely to emit more and more, they want to follow China. They don't say it very loudly, but they basically want to get the same richness treatment as China's had. And as you just mentioned, the U.S. has actually reduced its emissions the most in the last decade and a half. Why? Not because of Obama or President Trump. It's simply because you innovated a fantastic new technology called fracking that lowered the price of gas dramatically, so that a lot of people switched from coal to gas, and gas emits about half as much CO2 per energy unit. So you basically achieve something through innovation that a lot of other countries, including where I come from, Europe, we're paying out of our nose to try and cut it a little bit. This is smart. This is how you should do it. Of course, we should get China fracking. We should get India fracking. But the real point here is it's through innovation that we're going to fix this problem.
Are we ever going to reach net zero, though? I mean, is that because we spent millions, and what have we gotten? 5 to 6 trillion have been spent, and have we reduced?
Oh God, yeah,
anything?
Yeah, Amy. So anyone with reasonable sense, and I would argue perhaps Vaclav Smil, who's an energy analyst out of Canada, he's probably the most sensible guy in energy, and he doesn't put it in very blunt terms, but he basically says not going to happen by mid-century. He points out that most technological revolutions have taken somewhere between half to a full century to move. So we went from coal to oil, from oil to gas. But remember, we didn't actually stop using coal. We just used more oil and more gas. And so what we're really trying to do is the first time we're ever trying to say, let's get rid of all of that stuff that makes us rich and just try to work on renewables like solar and wind and a little bit of batteries and other stuff. And that is at the very best going to be phenomenally costly anytime soon. So we estimate trying to do this by mid-century, which is what Biden and what many others are saying, will be enormously more costly than the benefits the world will reap. And of course, we won't actually manage because China, India are not going to play along. Remember, Russia would have to spend more than 3 times what they're spending on military to do climate policy by 2050. Do we really honestly believe that Russia is going to do that? No, of course they're not. So yeah, the point here is this is mainly an obsession in the US, in Europe, Japan, Australia, a few other countries, and that really doesn't matter all that much. What really matters, of course, is if we get the poorer part of the world, so China, India, and Africa, along with this, and we're not going to do that if it's incredibly costly. We're going to do that if we innovate prices to be cheaper than fossil fuels.
Right, and so you recently commented on the prospect that renewables will dominate the 21st century, which is what the IPCC and these eco-supremacists are essentially arguing with all of their artificial deadlines for net zero.
Well, they're actually, I mean, the International Energy Agency, although they've sort of been taken over by people who feel very green at the foundation, they're not stupid. So when they make these proposals, they basically say, if the politicians were to do everything they promise, it would be fantastically costly and it would make a totally changed world. More realistically, we will probably have so much renewables by mid-century that it will still take us another century to to get to net zero. So, Amy, that's the short answer. No, we're going to be a century late by the Energy Information Administration from Biden. We're going to be 2 centuries late. So, look, this is not going to happen anytime soon because most people don't want to pay, eye-bleeding amounts of money to achieve very little. It's something we need to fix, and we should fix it smartly. But right now, we're just fixing it stupidly.
Well, and the cost-benefit analyses that you do, which is one of the reasons I like your stuff in terms of the potential impacts, realistic projections about impacts for climate change, versus the impacts of the proposed climate change policies. Let's do a little bit of measuring, and you bring in, it's not just out-of-pocket costs, which is not inconsequential, but it's also cost in terms of lives and the development of the developing world. So speak to that.
Yeah. And lost growth, that will just simply be less well off by mid or end of the century. So there was a new study in Climate Change Economics, which is a peer-reviewed journal, and it's the first set of studies that actually tried to estimate the cost and benefits of net zero. You would imagine that the world leaders had actually, asked for that before they made the decision. But of course, they didn't actually want that because that would have endangered their decision. Just remember, the current net zero promise is by far the most costly promise global leaders have ever made. The second most costly was probably the Versailles Treaty ending First World War. Had Germany actually paid everything they were supposed to pay, that would, in today's dollars, have cost about $500 billion. We're estimating the total cost of the net zero promise is in the order of $100 to $1,000 trillion. So, it just blows this out of the water. And what they found was, so this is not totally true. There was only one benefit estimate. There were only 3 cost estimates. They're not perfect, but they tell us a very clear story. They show us every year in the 21st century, the costs are going to be vastly higher than the benefits. Over the 21st century, the average benefit of doing something about climate change is about $4.5 trillion. So, if we actually do this, we will make the world better off. We'll make the world, on average, about $4.5 trillion better off. That's great. But what most people don't mention is this will also cost us, on average, almost $27 trillion each and every year. Spending $27 trillion to do $4.5 trillion of good is bonkers. That's just a really bad deal. And of course, that's why most countries will never do this. We'll pretend, we'll do something. I don't know if you saw just today, it was mentioned that we're now spending, just in the US, Canada, and the EU, more than $300 billion on green hydrogen, and that will probably never materialize as a real carrier of energy. But we're just spending an enormous amount of money every year, $300 billion. It all adds up. And this, of course, comes out of the tax dollars that we could either have kept ourselves or have made better healthcare, better education, better infrastructure. There's a lot of decisions that we could have made, but we decided to spend it on the poorest thing, and that's a real shame.
Bjorn Lomborg is the president of the Copenhagen Consensus think tank. He's the author of Best Things First. Bjorn, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1907 $10 gold Liberty coins has been found. These gorgeous 1907p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 100 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1907 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1907 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 117 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-495-6468. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $50 value free with every order. Call 1-800-495-6468 now to secure your 1907p $10 gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-495-6468.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Tony Fauci's buddy, that sad little man, his buddy Peter Daszak from EcoHealth Alliance was before the COVID Select Committee yesterday.
Aww.
We'll start there with our friend Alex Berenson at 8:08.
Love him. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Mike, you're looking fine today.
Thank you.
We were all commenting on your shirt.
Well, thank you. It's very white. A man wanted for murder of a CPD officer arrested in Glendale Heights. You've talked about it with Dan and Amy this morning. We'll tell you more. Jewish groups are demanding the Northwestern University president resign over pro-Palestinian protest. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. Another pro-Palestinian encampment taken down on another college campus. I'm Dave Anthony. It's at UCLA.
I'm inside the camp. These are what's left of the tents. Most of them have been taken down by police as they came through. They pushed most of the protesters there. They pushed all of them out of this encampment. They're up against the wall.
Fox's William Lajeunesse has been watching all this unfold the last few hours.
And the cops are big. They got their vests on. They know what they're doing. And even though these guys are there with shields and things like this and helmets and their gas masks, boom, they were gone.
And as dawn breaks now in Los Angeles, some protesters in zip ties have been unmasked, taken away, but not all of those demonstrators have been rounded up.
They locked arms. They continued to chant, "Free, free Palestine." I think you can still hear that.
A UCLA student, Eliana Jolkowski, just told Fox this morning that this continues and there have been chants of anti-Semitism. One of her friends, who's also Jewish, was even attacked by protesters. She says they appear to have been bussed on campus, and some of them, not all of them, are students. Now, former President Trump campaigned in Michigan and in Wisconsin, saying the pro-Palestinian protests have got to stop.
To every college president, I say remove the encampments immediately.
Now, he is about to arrive in court once again in New York City.
Former President Trump could be looking at more sanctions as his criminal trial resumes in New York City, where the judge in his hush money case holds another contempt hearing, this time involving 4 more alleged gag order violations. Judge Juan Merchan's imposed a $9,000 fine for 9 separate violations he found Tuesday.
Fox's Lillian Wu, the former president, calls that order unconstitutional, claiming he's been silenced in this case and persecuted. President Biden will campaign in North Carolina today. He'll go to Charlotte and meet with relatives of the law enforcement officer shot and killed this week trying to make an arrest. America's listening to Fox News.
It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership on the south side early this morning. The suspects forcing their way into a Napleton dealership, driving away with approximately 4 to 7 vehicles. Police in Vernon Hills continue their investigation into an apparent murder-suicide Wednesday morning. Officers responding to a single-family home in the 400 block of Cherry Valley Road. Inside, police say they found a 67-year-old woman and a 77-year-old man, both dead from apparent gunshot wounds. The man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is finally in custody. After being arrested in Glendale Heights, Xavier Tate Jr. apparently fled to Iowa before returning to the suburbs and being arrested. Several Jewish organizations are calling for Northwestern University President Michael Schill to resign over his handling of the pro-Palestinian encampment on campus. Meantime, 7 members of the President's Advisory Committee on Preventing Anti-Semitism at Northwestern University have decided to step down amid anti-Jewish protest on that college campus. Cubs beat the Mets 1-0, a shutout win for Shota Imanaga in Queens, while the White Sox remained winless against the Twins following a 10-5 loss. The news is delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance at quickdelivery.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs, and now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wayfair shares are up nearly 4% on upbeat comments about the business. The home furnishings company continued to lose money in the recent quarter, but the loss was much smaller than a year ago, and Wayfair sees its business on an upswing, with suppliers introducing large groups of new products. Burger chain Shake Shack reported a mostly upbeat quarter. It made a profit after losing money a year ago. Wendy's says its breakfast business is helping, and it expects to meet its goals for the year. Peloton Interactive is replacing its CEO as the company continues to see its stock price decline. Energy giant Shell is buying back $3.5 billion worth of stock. Its earnings declined, but the drop was smaller than forecast. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum can see the trend.
All of this in an attempt to destroy Donald Trump's reputation and destroy him being the president of the United States of America. But it's not working, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the polls. Donald Trump is up. If the man is getting indicted 450,000 times and he's going up in the polls, that tell you that American people aren't buying the bull crap that they're throwing out. Joe Biden is a dead man walking. Everybody can see it. Everybody knows it. Your mama, your grandma, your cousin, them.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of UStore, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of UStore, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Spring cleaning is here. Time to brighten up those dirty rugs and carpeting. Dogs, cats, food, drinks. They can really make a mess. Look down. Are you happy how your carpets and rugs look? Let Executive Green Carpet Cleaning show you how clean really looks. Executive Green Carpet Cleaning. They're local, family-owned, and take pride in customer satisfaction, positive reviews, referrals, and working with AM 560 listeners. Right now, if you mention AM 560, you'll receive 15% off all cleaning services.
Hi, this is Kelly from Executive Green Carpet Cleaning. As a proud supporter of AM 560, allow my family the invitation into your home or business to show you what clean really looks like. Carpets, area rugs, upholstery, tile and grout, and wood floor cleaning. We do it all.
Call or text Kelly today to schedule a free quote. 630-990-8600. Mention AM 560 to receive 15% off. Call or text 630-990-8600 or schedule online at executivegreencarpetcleaning.com. executivegreencarpetcleaning.com.
The global elites are waging a war on our financial freedom. They want to control our future through digital currencies and a cashless society. By eliminating cash, they can track every transaction, impose negative interest rates, and even freeze accounts at will. But patriots are fighting back by investing in physical gold. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon here. I believe gold is the answer. It safeguards your wealth better than any other asset. And even better, with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group, you can move your retirement savings into tangible, real gold without paying taxes or penalties. Rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into physical gold could be the smartest financial move you ever make. To learn more, get your free info kit from Birch Gold by texting PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to 989898. Take a stand for your financial future. Text PROTECT to 989898 right now to receive your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group.
Message and data rates may apply.
It is 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. Eden's 28 right now, Lake Cook Road to the junction. Traveling on the Ike right now, an hour 20 from 390 into the old post office. You'll hit the brakes hard right at 25th. Dan Ryan coming inbound, 45 minutes, 95th into the circle. I-57 Accident, right lane block between the Tri-State and 127th. Big delays on the Tri-State southbound between I-80 and the Lincoln Oasis due to an accident with 2 left lanes blocked. And delays on I-80. You have a late pickup of left lane overnight road work and a stalled semi, combining for a massive delay eastbound Hobart all the way through Cherry Hill Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, here's Steve Williams.
A very warm day. It'll be cloudy. A couple of thunderstorms for the afternoon, which could bring some damaging wind, the high 82. Partly to mostly cloudy. Shower and thunderstorm for the night, low 61. Showers tomorrow morning, partly sunny for the afternoon, the high 71. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly to mostly cloudy and 57 right now. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Yeah, top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That's a tribute song to Dr. Tony Fauci from our friends 3 Times August. Yeah, it's nice to bring that back. And appropriate because one of Fauci's gain-of-function buddies, Peter Daszak, EcoHealth Alliance, was before the COVID Select Committee yesterday in the House, chaired by a medical doctor. Now, he's not a virologist, but he's a medical doctor and representative from Ohio, Brad Wenstrup. And here's a bit of an update he gave us in terms of recent emails that have been unearthed in his opening statement before Daszak's testimony.
Additionally, Dr. Daszak's problematic behavior is not limited to his less than fulsome cooperation or the risky research that he conducted. Recently released documents display Dr. Daszak communicating with Dr. David Morens, who was senior advisor to then NIAID Director Dr. Fauci, and doing so through private channels to avoid FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. Dr. Daszak and Dr. Morens shared information, ideas, and strategies about how to best proceed to reobtain funding for this risky research after Dr. Michael Lauer had terminated Dr. Daszak's grant. Dr. Morens provided Dr. Daszak with internal NIH deliberations and discussions concerning the suspension of EcoHealth's grant, along with assurances that Dr. Fauci and NIAID would seek to mitigate the damage done to EcoHealth. On April 16, 2024, I announced a subpoena to Dr. Morens for documents in his email relating to the origins of COVID-19. Yesterday, Dr. Morens produced 30,000 pages of emails. Emails from his Gmail account, which he said he had used to avoid FOIA. So this investigation does not end today. Dr. Daszak told Dr. Morens in these private communications that he still had 15,000 samples, quote, in freezers in Wuhan, end quote, and had not yet analyzed more than 700 coronaviruses he had identified in those samples. EcoHealth has lamented, quote, the negative impact on U.S. national security, end quote, posed by their inability to sequence all the samples at the WIV. But EcoHealth's actions themselves are a threat to national security. Dr. Daszak has displayed a disregard for the risks associated with gain-of-function research, the congressional oversight process, and the federal grant process. Dr. Daszak has proven that he's not a responsible steward of the American people's tax dollars. We see no reason that the American people should be paying for EcoHealth's research or any other work Dr. Daszak conducts.
That's a stinging rebuke. By the way, 5 Times August. the name of the band. I think I said 3 times. 3 Doors Down, 5 times August. There we go. So what about that? 700 coronaviruses yet to research at the Wuhan Virology Lab. Well, let's fire this baby back up. Get this going. You don't want to leave those unexamined. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Alex Berenson. He's the author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government Rights and Lives. You can get his reporting at Unreported Truths. That's his Substack, alexberenson.substack.com. Unreported Truths is the name of it. Alex, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad you're staying on.
Absolutely. I want to get your reaction. And then Daszak went on during his testimony. It was rather mundane for the most part, and I thought some of the Republicans could have been better prepared, like Comer. But he basically reiterated that it's more likely that it was zoological and was not a leak from Wuhan, and that they weren't doing gain of function. I mean, it was basically like having Tony Fauci testify, but his name was Peter Daszak.
Yeah, yes, and I mean it's an amazing thing with Daszak because he won't admit anything, right? Even sort of very basic, obvious stuff, he just refuses to admit. So, sometimes that looks bad, right? When he says, I didn't really say that it was a conspiracy theory when in a paper that he authored where the words conspiracy theory are used, that kind of thing. But sometimes that strategy actually works, right? Because you just never admit anything. And you wind up sort of forcing your questioners to repeat the questions over and over again. It's not a real conversation. It's just them saying stuff and you denying it. Look, I've written a fair bit in the last month about the lab leak, about what happened, and about what I think happened. And there's Daszak and there's a guy named Ralph Baric. And the question is, is Ralph Baric, who's a virologist or an immunologist in North Carolina who did a tremendous amount of research on the coronavirus, is he ever going to testify under oath? Are we ever going to see Ralph Baric? Because what's pretty clear is that Ralph Baric's techniques were used by the Chinese, and probably that is what caused this epidemic, this pandemic, right? It's very likely that almost to a certainty, I would say that this came out of the lab in Wuhan. It's very likely that this was botched research, and it's very likely that the Chinese researchers who were doing it, were the same people who'd been in touch with Ralph Baric for years. So I'm not saying that Ralph Baric knew what was happening, and I'm not saying that he was involved. What I'm saying is that there's probably nobody in the world outside that lab who knows more about this than Ralph Baric. And yet he's been allowed to remain silent publicly for 4 years, and it's increasingly bizarre. Is he being protected by, the 3-letter agencies? How has he managed to avoid telling us what he knows publicly?
Well, it's interesting you bring him up because, and I don't have the clip handy, but I mean Ralph Baric is, and people probably don't have their scorecards handy from the last 4 years, but Ralph Baric is somebody who also previously in interviews. This goes back several years now, but this is from memory. But we played them on this show where he talked about the dangers of gain-of-function research with novel coronaviruses. It was almost like predictive of what more likely than not transpired in Wuhan. And so, that's somebody with that much expertise he was thinking about the potential pitfalls. And he was clearly in communication with all of these other players, all the other shot callers that have the cash, like Fauci, and collaborating with our side that wanted to collaborate with Wuhan via a DARPA grant that they didn't get. But, I mean, all of those machinations you would think would be really important to probe.
You would, right? I mean, this is an epidemic that killed millions of people. And if it was caused by laboratory work, we're going to need to change the rules on this work worldwide, forever going forward. And the fact that the U.S. government doesn't really seem interested, aside from a few Republicans in Congress, in pushing, and finding out what happened is stunning. The Substack that I wrote about 2 or 3 weeks ago was about a conference NIH had in 2013. Baric spoke and Daszak was present, and Tony Fauci was there. Okay, and so the idea that Tony Fauci didn't know these guys, that he didn't know them well, particularly Barrett, because Fauci, one of the things that's very interesting is Fauci was always looking for the next epidemic, partly because, that was his job, but partly because he wanted to be able to go to Congress and say, this is a scary thing. You need to give me more money to research this. And he said that publicly. He said that at this conference, okay? So Barrack is talking about how dangerous coronaviruses can be, which obviously is good for him, too. He's the world's leading researcher on coronaviruses. Fauci knows exactly what's going on. These guys are talking to the Chinese. Daszak's organization is researching caves in China. This is all, in the run-up to 2019 when SARS-CoV-2 emerged. And yet, it's me, it's Rand Paul, it's a handful of people who think that all of this is interesting and needs to be investigated. It's crazy.
Well, do you think that the COVID virus was leaked on purpose from the Wuhan lab, or was it accidental?
I think it was accidental. I mean, because, again, from the first, this has not been a virus that has much military use, right? It kills the very old, the very sick. The Chinese, the Chinese were clearly frightened of it sort of unnecessarily, but they locked down too. They did their economy a lot of damage. If it was a military operation or some kind of intelligence operation, it was a complete failure. If it was a bunch of scientists screwing up, and somebody walked out with this virus on their coat, that's totally believable to me.
Well, and I just want to go back, too, to something that Wenstrup said per these emails from David Morenz, who is a top advisor to Fauci, and, these communications between him and Daszak, that Daszak still has 15,000 samples in freezers in Wuhan and has not yet analyzed more than 700 coronaviruses he identified in those samples. So does anybody want to ask, so what are we going to do about that?
I mean, but, in the background, of course, in the background, there's the realization everybody has that if the Chinese, if one of those samples is the precursor virus, SARS-CoV-2, the Chinese are never going to give it to us, right? It's very unlikely that without Chinese cooperation, we'll get the definitive answer here. I mean, maybe NSA has some sequenced viruses that were uploaded and then the Chinese removed in September 2019. And maybe one of those viruses has something to tell us about where SARS-CoV-2 came from. But, if the U.S. intelligence community has access to this deleted information, they have not made it public. So that's another question. Here's what I would say, okay, and this is what I also said in the stack. Even if we can't figure out whether to a sort of legal certainty where SARS-CoV-2 came from, there's the second cover-up, right? There's the cover-up of what U.S. officials, what Fauci and everybody else were afraid of, and tried to discourage the scientific community and American journalists from investigating. So there's two separate cover-ups. There's a cover-up of the leak, and then there's the cover-up to discourage anyone from even investigating. And that is something that's actionable in the U.S. and that we should get the answer to.
Well, 100%. I wanted to get your review of something else because you've been writing about this at your Substack too, and I know you're not a particular Trump fan, which makes your recommendation, sort of recommendation to Trump with respect to this Manhattan trial even more stark. Your recommendation is Trump should tell Judge Merchan that, basically go ahead and put me in jail.
Right. I think that this is a terrible case. Okay, there's 4, criminal trials against Trump, and this one is by far the worst and the weakest. And it really feels like a show trial. When you actually understand the details of what Trump is alleged to have done and how bizarrely minor they are, and once you realize that basically the prosecutors are sort of openly bootstrapping their case on the fact that Trump won in 2016, right? So this is a case about mishandled accounting that has been turned into a referendum on the 2016 election in a Democratic city in front of a Democratic jury by Democratic prosecutors. And that to me is incredibly problematic and going to really damage the rule of law going forward. And I think it would be fascinating if Donald Trump just said, you know what, I'm not participating in this. If you want to put me in jail, and we'll see what happens.
Wow.
That would be a moment. Hey, maybe it'll happen today.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, the other way I've actually thought about this is, what if Trump played it the other way and just essentially said, I'm going down to Florida. Like, I'm going to campaign in states with Republican governors. If you want to send, an extradition order to Ron DeSantis, good luck with that. So, I mean, that would be the other way he could play it, and just sort of overtly politicize what is, unfortunately, a very, very, very political case.
Alex Berenson, he's the author of Pandemia, How Coronavirus Hysteria Took Over Our Government, Rights, and Lives. And again, his Substack, as you can tell, he covers more than just COVID-related matters, but he is still covering that too, which is good. His Substack, Unreported Truths, alexberenson.substack.com. Alex, thank you as always.
Always a pleasure, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
All right, this season, don't get tripped up by the uneven concrete around your house. Whether it's a sunken or cracked sidewalk, porch stoop, driveway, or patio, those problems will only get worse, but there is an easy solution. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-SEAL. You know the number, 800-421-7325, and ask for a free inspection. Their poly-level services, can raise and level your sunken concrete quickly and efficiently, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Poly-level is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete. Don't live with a potentially dangerous situation. Call Permaseal today for a free inspection. They'll have financial programs that will allow you to have the work done now and pay for it in 18 months without interest. Permaseal has been a trusted name for over 40 years. The number to call, 800-421-SEAL, or online at permaseal.net.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right. Your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest Radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now. 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
Choosing where to send your kid to school is one of the most important decisions we make as parents. Even as this school year is coming to an end, you might be thinking about where to send your kids to school in the fall. You need to know that private Christian school might be an option for you and your family, thanks to our friends at Half Price Schools. At halfpriceschools.com, you'll find many different private Christian schools from around Chicagoland offering a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. And you can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find a private Christian school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools across Chicagoland, including St. Andrew's Lutheran School in Park Ridge, Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights. Don't delay. Next school year will be here before you know it. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. Don't wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
This is a red alert for hardworking Americans who are tired of seeing their freedoms and retirement savings threatened by the globalist agenda. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to find whistleblowers who are exposing these schemes. Real patriotic financial warriors like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry. They're not afraid to tell it like it is and fight back against the system. Now, with the 2024 election storming our way, your IRA and your 401k may be in the crosshairs. That's why we've compiled our 3 favorite ideas into our Election Protection Report. You definitely won't hear any of these in the mainstream news. Get your free copy of our Election Protection Report now. Just text TRUTH to 76626. Plus, today you'll also get a free gold investment kit from our sponsor, Augusta Precious Metals. Text TRUTH to 76626 now and get the free report and gold investment kit. The fight for your financial freedom is on. Text the word TRUTH to 76626.
Standard text and data rates may apply.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, remember Don Blankenship? Don Blankenship was the coal executive from West Virginia who ran in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate in 2018. And he had those ads with about Cocaine Mitch and the China people.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Is he back?
He's back. Now he's running in the Democrat candidate as a Democrat candidate for Senate in West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And he has another bizarre commercial going. This time it starts with RFK Jr. talking about Don Blankenship, and then it ends with this notice from Don Blankenship. Take a listen.
Don Blankenship, candidate for the United States Senate, and I paid for this ad.
Don Blankenship will tell you the honest truth.
Don Blankenship, he's the most honest CEO in America.
Unfortunately, our government is not honest. Even the truth about the murders of Mr. Kennedy's dad and uncle are kept hidden. They even refuse to keep Mr. Kennedy safe because he left the party. Your choice is simple. You can vote for more lies, or you can vote for
most honest CEO in America.
If they tell you I fell off the bed and hung myself, I didn't.
Oh, my. This guy is crazy.
If Don Blankenship gets Epsteined,
he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. Just so you know.
You know something we don't know, or is he just cray-cray?
Oh,
boy.
I'll let you make your own judgment on that.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
8:38, we'll be joined by country musician Matt Oakley, who is part of the lineup at Patriots Fest coming May 18th in Aurora. Matt Oakley at 8:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
8:33, and we're following breaking news this morning. The Seattle Times first to report that Joshua Dean, former quality auditor at Boeing's supplier Spirit Aerosystems, and one of the first whistleblowers to allege Spirit leadership had ignored manufacturing defects on the 737 MAX, died yesterday after a struggle with a sudden, fast-spreading infection. He died about 2 weeks after going into critical condition and about 2 months after another Boeing whistleblower, John Barnett, was found dead. Spirit fired Dean back in April of 2023 after he had filed complaints. Los Angeles police dismantling the pro-Palestinian tents on campus at UCLA. Law enforcement from several agencies showing up to UCLA before dawn to push the protesters out of their camp.
This crowd became agitated after police breached the encampment. The encampment is probably about 500 yards to my left. It is in the far corner where they are releasing, as you can hear, flashbangs every few seconds.
Officers in riot gear then arrested several people. Police shot and killed an armed student outside of a Wisconsin middle school Wednesday. No other injuries were reported. The Department of Justice says it has opened an investigation in Wisconsin. Burglars stole several vehicles from a car dealership on the south side early this morning. Chicago police say the suspects forced their way into the dealership and drove away with 4 to 7 vehicles. Police in Vernon Hills continuing to investigate an apparent murder-suicide from Wednesday morning. Police say a 67-year-old man or a 67-year-old woman and a 77-year-old man were found dead inside the home. A man wanted in the deadly shooting of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca last month is in custody after he was arrested in Glendale Heights. Reports say Tate was arrested wearing the handcuffs that belong to Luis Huesca, who was shot and killed April 21st. Cubs over the Mets 1-0, Shota Imanaga earning win number 5, while the White Sox lost to the Twins 10-5. The news is a service of Dell Technologies. Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father, but while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker. 3rd generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
$8:39, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg, traffic center time. The Kennedy is an hour 40 coming inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now, an hour 2390 into the old post office. The Stevenson heavy and slow in from the Tri-State. That's a 47-minute trip into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 35 on the Dan Ryan inbound 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go traffic on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound. Your jam solid Marquette up through Hayes. Tri-State, earlier accident. Jam up northbound between I-57 and the CalSag Bridge. Tri-State southbound jammed up between I-80 and the Lincoln Oasis. An accident now blocking 2 left-hand lanes in the cleanup stages. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, cloudy, maybe a thunderstorm by the afternoon. High 82. Clouds, showers, 61 overnight. Partly sunny and 63. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This battle got me thinking, girl, I don't miss you, but the whiskey does. And I've been thinking about us picking up where we left off. I guess the battle can't get over us. No, I don't think that we can call it love anymore.
That's Matt Oakley. The Whiskey Does is the ditty. And Matt Oakley is going to be one of the performers at Patriots Fest, which is coming up May 18th. It's going to be a national in scope. We talked to Phil Oakley last week about it. Not Phil Oakey. He's the lead singer for Human League.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't confuse Phil Oakey with Phil Oakley. Two different guys. So Phil Oakley was telling us it's going to be national in scope. He didn't have the dates and locations locked in yet when we talked to him, but it will be updated on the website, patriotsfest.com. May 18th in Aurora at the Piazza. It's going to be emceed by Matt Pinfield from MTV's 120 Minutes fame. And they're not looking to make money. They're looking to raise money for a number of charities that we went through, Special Ops Survivors, Task Force Dagger, America's Future are some of the charities that we were going through, some of the charities that serve our servicemen and women. So it's a great lineup, and it includes the Motor City Madman, Ted Nugent, too, by the way. So you got a combination of obviously established artists and up-and-coming artists like our next guest, Matt Oakley. Matt, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
And Matt Oakley is related to Phil Oakley. I think we talked about that with Phil, right?
Yeah, so he's my dad. He served 22 years in the Army, and he actually got linked up with my manager, who's obviously been doing this for a really long time, and they were mulling over ideas and stories, and that's kind of how Patriots Fest became a thing, and it's kind of all come full circle at this point.
How did you get into music, the music industry?
So, I mean, it's kind of funny. So my dad, like I said, he was in the Army for 22 years, and when he was stationed over in Germany, he was a DJ. And I know you led off with the clarification that it's not the lead singer. I promise you don't want to hear my father sing. It's not great. But he does have a good ear for it, and he did back in the day. And so when we were growing up, me and my sisters, we were just around it all the time. And so I was always drawn to it. And then in the recent years, I've dove into it fully, and it's taken a life of its own.
What about, so where are your sisters now? You could have had like a Partridge Family thing.
That, you know what's crazy is both of them can sing very well too. So my little sister, she's down in Florida, and my older sister is over in Arizona. I'm about a month away from moving up to Nashville to get all my work done up there. But they've got some good voices of their own too. So we're not sure where it came from. Neither of my parents can hold a tune, but I guess it's a generation, as they say.
Who was your favorite singer growing up? Who did you listen to all the time? What was your first album?
I'd say, I mean, a lot of the Rascal Flatts stuff when I was younger, we always had it on. They had so many songs, and they were kind of meaningful. So I think my parents were like, all right, we feel comfortable having this band on whether we're going through a road trip or just around the house. So a lot of Rascal Flatts as I got older. I mean, these days I listen to a lot of Riley Green and Morgan Wallen and Cody Johnson, those kind of guys. But I lean towards the songwriting style that has a storytelling aspect to it.
Just don't go throwing furniture around like Morgan Wallen.
Oh,
you just don't want to do that.
Too soon.
You don't want to do that. I saw that from your bio that you went to South Carolina for school. So were you plying your trade in college as well? Were you doing the college bars and the bar scene before you started to break out?
Yeah, so near the end of college is when I got into music, and so I would do some shows around Conway, South Carolina, and whether it was little dive bars or 200, 300 people caps, I'd go in there and sing some covers, sing some originals, and then once I graduated in 2022, I got the opportunity to come back and do a festival down there, which is DCMF, which is another music fest, and we packed out the tent and did our thing there too. So yeah, the dive bar thing, I got a lot of fond memories of bouncing around and doing the small shows like that.
And so I've got a friend whose son is in a band, and they're up and coming too. They've gotten some breaks where they've opened for some pretty substantial country acts. They've gone to Nashville to try to make their way too. I mean, what's your advice and counsel, if you have any, to young aspiring artists?
100%. I think the biggest thing I've learned is you never want to try and microwave anything, because there'll be moments early on where you feel like you're ready and you think you've got it figured out and you think the music's great. And then if you give it a year, you give it two, you're going to look back and be like, man, I wasn't even close to where I should have been. And it'll all fall into place when it does. So do it for the love of it. Keep getting better at it and keep, honing your craft and your sound. You don't want to sound like anybody else. And eventually, if it's supposed to be heard, I think it will be heard. And I've kind of lived by that, and it's gotten me along the way where I am now, and hopefully where I'm going to go. So I live and die by that.
Yeah, that's a good point. The overnight successes that were 10 and 15 years in the making, right? People don't appreciate.
Exactly.
So talk about Patriots Fest and why this is something that's important for you to be involved in, and what people can expect.
Yeah, so like I said, my dad was in the Army for 22 years, and so I just grew up around it, whether it was bouncing around or meeting his buddies, or when he ultimately retired, he was a part of all these charity events where we were supporting foundations. And at the time I was young and I didn't really have an opportunity to contribute, whereas this time my manager came to me about it and laid it out and told me about what it was, and I was completely all in. It was one of those things where it was like I finally had the opportunity to it's easy to thank my dad, but in a lot of my songs and some of the unreleased, I mention his service and my gratitude towards it. And so the ability to go out there for a 30-minute set and just show my gratitude and show my appreciation for those who serve is my personal goal with it to walk away from. But I think as a whole, it's just an event, like you said in the beginning, that we hope to replicate across the country. And so the message will be spread. We have no doubt about that. And so we just want to go out, and this is the first one, and we want to knock it out of the park.
All right. And in terms of the lineup, it's an eclectic lineup. I like it. Is there anybody in particular in the lineup that you're anxious to hear? Maybe you'll sit in with, who knows?
So, I love Three Doors Down. They've obviously got great songs. They're not obviously a country quote unquote band, but they have great songs, and that listening to their music growing up, it's cool that it's kind of almost like surreal that it's like I listen to these songs and they're so mainstream, and right a couple hours before they go on, I'll be on the same stage and singing my song. So it feels fulfilling. So maybe not anxious, but more so like, dang, I can't believe we're at this point with it. And obviously Ted Nugent, legend. So I love the fact that there's we got some of the oldies, and like you said, we got some of the up-and-coming acts. So, and I also got my buddy, I want to give him a quick little shout-out, Brandon Hart. He'll be performing there, too. He's helped write a bunch of stuff on my album with me that's coming out later this year. So I'm super stoked to see him perform, and just excited to get out there.
All right, excellent. Again, it's Saturday, May 18th in Aurora at the Piazza. Go to patriotsfest.com for tickets. We mentioned the beneficiaries of the money raised are charities, nonprofits that serve military families. Also, we know from Matt's dad, Phil, that distinguished military, to include Medal of Honor recipients, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, numerous veterans from Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, even going back to World War II, will be honored at the concert as well. So May 18th, Aurora, the Piazza, patriotsfest.com is the website. Matt Oakley, thanks so much for joining us, and great to talk to you. Good luck at the concert. Play well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, have a good concert. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars, cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table, and you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
All right, you have to admit, this is the worst time of the year to be suffering from joint pain due to arthritis or an injury. You can't enjoy the outdoors like you used to. And if you're tired of just feeling the chronic pain, contact our good friends at QC Kinetics before you agree to surgery, steroids, or medications. That's what tens of thousands of real-life patients around the country did, like Julie. Let me tell you about Julie. Well, a doctor told Julie that the only way she could get relief from her was her knee replacement surgery. And she didn't want to do that. So she went to QC Kinetics for a second opinion, and she did not choose surgery. Julie isn't limping around anymore. She's riding her bike, going for hikes. She tells everyone she meets about QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is partnered with medical director Dr. Mitchell Shinecup, a pioneer in the field with 20 years of clinical work, teaching, and publishing. Now, I'd love to talk about your success story next, so don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Here's the number. Write it down. 312-809-5955. Be proactive. Do something. 312-809-5955. Again, that number is 312-809-5955.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com, and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Are you looking for a meaningful way to preserve our nation's history? Consider purchasing a Blueprints of Liberty brick. Each purchase helps to build Liberty Village. By sponsoring a brick, you become a part of the Blueprints of Liberty Village, a unique destination that brings our founding history to life. This family-friendly location will provide an opportunity for youth and visitors to encounter history like never before. Visit UnitedWePledge.org to order your Blueprints of Liberty brick today.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people. and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Mother's Day, the best day ever, is coming up on May 12th. And so treat the mom in your life to a special Mother's Day brunch at the Trump Hotel in Chicago, Sunday, May 12th. Enjoy that buffet-style feast with live entertainment, complimentary champagne, while seated along the city skyline for a chance to win free tickets. 560theanswer.com, keyword mother. 560theanswer.com, keyword mother. And I'm available if anybody wants to take me along.
Sure, like proms.
Yes.
You're available to be a surrogate mom for brunches.
And you know what? I went to 5 proms in one season once, and I have that picture, and I was like, you know, maybe I should tweet that out, but I don't know.
Well,
I'll
maybe
run
you'd
it by
get
you
invited.
first.
Maybe you'd get invited to those brunches if you still look like you did in those prom pictures.
Hey,
Oh, no.
You know, that's
no,
not nice.
No. That's totally out of bounds.
Really rude. Well, you don't have a prom picture because you didn't go. Take
Exactly.
an L, Dan Prop.
Exactly. That's right.
Yes.
Nobody would send. That surprises also nobody. So have you done these, have you experienced an AI drive-through?
No, I haven't.
I was just curious about people's experience with them because they're starting to pop up. Bad news for those people celebrating their $15 an hour minimum wage. SEIU just made you obsolete. Congratulations. Here's a dude who did an experiment, see how effective and accurate they are. This is at a Wendy's in Columbus, Ohio. And, and listen to me, he changes up the order several times to try to, make sure that this AI is on the job. And this is how it goes.
Welcome to Wendy's. What would you like?
Hi, can I get one bacon double stack biggie bag?
What sauce for the Biggie Bag Nuggets?
Can I get barbecue sauce?
Which drink for bacon double stack Biggie Bag?
A Coke, please.
Which drink for bacon double stack Biggie Bag?
A Coca-Cola.
Got it. Anything else?
Also, can I get a Dave's Classic Single?
Got it. Anything else?
On that Dave's Classic Single, can I get no cheese and extra pickles?
Would you like anything else?
Can I get extra cheese, extra pickles on the Dave's single?
Anything else?
Can I get no cheese on the Dave's single?
Then he opens up the order.
And is there cheese or is there not cheese? We need to know.
Accurate.
Accurate. AI did it.
Hate that. I love talking to people. I love interacting with people. That's why I don't do self-checkout at the Jewels, because I want to see how Roger's doing. I want to see how Danny's doing in his bowling league. I want to talk to my friends.
Yeah, that's sad. Amy, the lonely cat lady, is here.
No,
to
they
shop.
know. Because
We
if
have
I
to
don't
talk to her now.
No, if I don't show up, why weren't you here last Monday? I'm like, I went to Mariano. Sorry. But I do. I love, they're so sweet over there at the Jewels in Elk Grove.
Well, you may want to let them know that
they're
about to be replaced by screens. If that Wendy's experience is any example,
That's scary. You probably love AI.
I
in this
totally
situation.
do.
Yeah.
No, I mean in general. Although I don't go through. I mean, the only drive-through I go through is Dunkin' Donuts. But I'd be happy to have all of those people replaced by screens.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Remember Carlos at Dunkin' Donuts on Elston and Addison?
Well,
Doesn't he mean anything to you?
He gave me free coffee, so I like Carlos.
He's gone from there now. He works for the post office, and that place is not the same. I'll tell you how one person can make a difference. There you go.
Well, now it's going to be one screen can make a difference.
It's the Caitlin Clark of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now it'll be one screen can make a difference. But it's interesting how, like, if it's as good as that experience that guy had in Columbus, Ohio, then I mean, if you're a franchise owner, and It's going to vary. Obviously, not everybody is one of these sniveling, entitled goofs that are out with their placards at a moment's notice. But, boy, I don't know. It's going to be tough to resist if you get that kind of efficiency plus cost effectiveness with all of these mandates being passed, particularly in metropolitan areas. And then it'll go to the restaurants. All right.
Real quick,
made your bed.
Get to know Dan. What do you order from Dunkin' Donuts when you go through there?
A hot black coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because you're on a health kick, and you left some raw eggs hard-boiled eggs in the fridge here.
Got to have my hard-boiled eggs. Part of my routine now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. You're eating healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's all. I mean, everything is hard-boiled eggs and coffee now. That's the whole thing.
That sounds really exciting.
That's all. Wait till I get an infomercial with my miracle diet.
Just throw in some Balance of Nature, you'll be just fine.
You and Jonathan Taves eating healthy.
Yeah, and half a dozen leaf cigars too. Yeah.